Introducing PubCoin. PubCoin is the rewards program for pub sports contributors. Regular chat contributors share their play of the day, POD, in the YouTube chat, including the phrase POD in their message. At the end of the week, the amount of units earned are converted into PubCoins. PubCoin can be used as reward points for prizes, shop discounts, and contests.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Mills here, Pub Sports Radio. Do you guys want to challenge the personalities here at Pub Sports Radio? Do you guys think you're better than them at entering in your MMA predictions and picks? Would you want to get paid for it? $100? Here's how you do it, man. You sign up right here at the link below. It's just this easy. PubSportsRadio.com. Enter your email. Pick your weekly picks. That's it. Oh, and you get bonus points if you can predict how they're going to win in what round. Every single week, a new winner's getting crowned. So every Saturday on Pub Sports Radio. So come on and check us out. You can win $100 just for signing up. Only thing you need to do is see if you can beat us here at Pub Sports Radio by entering your UFC predictions and picks weekly. Do it. I dare you. See you guys soon.
Upgrade your membership to Gold. You will be automatically entered in every horse race, every Wednesday and Friday. It is time to race horses. We are racing camels today.
Shout out to the Gold members. We're racing in San Antonio immediately here. And we're off. 2 minutes, 74 canals on this racetrack. It's wide. We're racing in San Antonio.
Pat Wally moving forwardly. Jeff Slaughter in the mix as well. And as is Randall Sheffield, who's put that beautiful nose out front.
But it's actually real grass here, Jimmy. Maybe Kentucky bluegrass. Oldie, no! There he goes. Oldie in the lead now. K. Wolf falls back. The horses love it. Sometimes they stop and eat it on the way to the finish line. That's why your horses start so far in the back. Here. Oh, look at Nussflush Allen bursting out here. J-Dub in the mix. Rude Boy up here as well. Jimmy, take it away.
There's Oldie. Oldie is moving to the front. We are past the halfway mark in our 2 mile. And there's Ricky Levy.
Oh my goodness, he's in the mix here. Jimmy, take it home. This is our first dog race ever.
19 seconds left in the horse race here. It's Fernando Mendoza trying to find the wire. 14 seconds left. Can Fernando Mendoza take this home? Here comes Kenny Can. Kenny Can wants a piece of the pie. Put his schnoz up front. Ricky Bobby, 9 seconds left. Can Donut Silks make a run? Can Red Small make a run to be $50?
You son of a bitch!
Here comes Tori Coker. Kenny Can, Smoke and Mirrors, Director 97 home. That is the way. Here comes Jason Meyer, the Eldorado Custodian, Billy Friedrich, Jones one, all coming down the advantage.
Coin! Nowhere!
Oh no! Fanatical Jim!
Get 'em, Jimmy, where low shack at? The bottle's getting empty, I'm the cracking, we stacking. Chips, all of this, what I want, plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone, I prefer elevated Pub Sports Radio. Time to get educated, who can produce, pay the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call the truth. They getting slaughtered, can't forget Jeff and Low Baggers in the chat. That's a little weapon cause we need, oh yeah, pubbing. We be pubbing!
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Thursday, November 7th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. We got a beautiful schedule for us to attack. Big, bad, juicy NHL card for us to hit up and get paid for. A lot of opportunities. I moved on 4 bets. I just had to move on the Jets about 15 minutes ago. I mean, I always tell people that there are spots in the NHL that are gifts, and don't get concerned by the fishy market. And I had to follow through, because is there a fishier market than what we're looking at with the Jets Avalanche? I mean, come on. Jets are 12-1. The Jets care about playing the Avalanche, who've, been the stars of the Central for a long time. And Georgiev is playing horrible. They just snapped their losing streak. Makar may or may not play. I mean, but it's how is it not minus 170? And then I kept thinking about over and over again how I tell you guys that NHL is simple. It's not as complicated as the other sports. And so I pulled the trigger on the Jets on the -1 line. But there's other spots I want to attack. I've moved on 3 last night, 1 this morning, but there's 4 or 5 more that I'm going to bet. We have Thursday night football, which I can't wait to cap with you guys. I've moved on both sides in total. Then we have college football, App State versus Coastal Carolina, and Florida Atlantic, East Carolina. Then we have college basketball for the first time here on Betting with the Bag this year. College basketball. So Bobano joining us. Pick 10 games for us to break down. Stony Brook, Central Michigan, Charleston, Southern North Florida, Southern Miss, UAB, Detroit, Mercy, Loyola, Chicago. Loyola, Chicago, I almost bet last night. And I took a deep dive on it for too long. I need to be working on everything, not just this Detroit, Mercy, Loyola, Chicago spot. I could have got in at 20.5. I really kind of wanted the first half. It's now 23. And the first half's 14.5. And I felt enough concern about Loyola, Chicago. I love the situation they're in, after not looking good in their first game. But against a Chicago State squad that's weak. But I didn't pull the trigger. Jacksonville, Florida Gators, Milwaukee, Northern Iowa, Jacksonville State, Air Force, Chattanooga, St. Mary's, Idaho State, USC, Cal Poly, California Golden Bears. I could have had the Montana State-Wisconsin game as one of the 10. I'm picking 10 games. I didn't, just because Montana State hasn't played yet. All of these other teams, games, we have a game under the belts. We've seen them. And I just decided, and maybe it was selfishly, that we don't have any idea really what Montana State is, and I'd prefer to focus on the games where we at least have a game of information. Then we get to NBA. We've been strong, low sample size, 7-4 to start out the year in NBA, so we'll be hammering NBA. Frank, Virginia says Blackhawks screwed me. I beat myself up for not backing Detroit. I do have a tiny bit of interest in Chicago first period tonight. I don't trust Chicago. I don't want to ever back them. I don't ever want to. I've not backed them this year. If I take them first period, it'll be the first time. Now I'm having a tough NHL season, which we will go over all of that here, which is very, very disappointing. First and foremost, though, we have offers from all the legal American sports books. When we want to legalize sports gambling in Texas, we want to be a big part of that. So we have a link to the top of our page, a link that will take you where you just key in what province or state you're in, and it'll tell you what offers and what books are available, and it helps us out as well. And then we want you to destroy the books. As always, we don't get a cent off anything of any losses of any kind. So there are companies out there that make their whole business plan is around getting gamblers to come in with their links and then lose. That's nothing to do with us. We want to smash the books. We get a bonus for signups. That's it. So if you want to help us, that would be something to look at if you're ever looking for a new book. We got Justin McKelvey in the house ready to go. We got Stacks play today. Gorky as well. EuroLeague. Zalgiris, a money line, and Stacks play today. Florida -22.5. We will be talking about that game. And then Johnson over 24.5 yards at +120. So we'll talk about all of that. Let's get that copied and pasted right here. Bobano is going to be a little late. He has a prior engagement, so I'm going to start NHL without him. So we'll get into NHL here shortly. Just want to copy and paste some action from our cappers in the chat, because I know it is you guys that makes this show special. My dude in the house, Wine Time Sports, Crystal, Craig, Serious Business, the Nuke Worker, DC Capper. Great to see you guys. The Skunt Blaster, Dougie Wise, free bands play today. Bengals +0.5, first quarter -110. That's a very interesting look, Dougie Wise. We'll be talking about that on our live stream this evening. Get that locked. It's going to be a fun live stream. All right, we got our guy, my dude, in the house. Elaine Coleman, is great to see you. Thank you for joining us. Kelly McInnes here. And we have 9 Legacy. Hurricanes -1.5. Kings money line and -1.5. I believe that's what he's trying to say. And then Chicago Bulls on the spread and Coastal Carolina on the spread for 9 Legacy. Let's copy and paste all of that locked in here. Locked and loaded. Jim Dewigger in the house. Great to see you, Jim. Going to be fun a weekend of Canadian football. We're in our conference finals. Jim and I have been hitting that hard. DC Capper coming off a win on the Red Wings yesterday. I'd love to see it. Jim Dewigger said, did Harold Snepps give you that hat? It's so funny you mentioned that because Harold Snepps was my favorite player when I was a kid. I loved hearing. Igor Larionov became my favorite player as soon as he came over when I was like 9 or 10. But when I was like 5, 6, 7, because the whole crowd would chant Harold, and it number 27. I loved it. I loved Harold Snepps. I loved how tough he was, and I became a big fan of his. And I do have a gift from Harold Snepps. He did give me a gift at one point and I have it over there. It's an old school Canucks sweater from like 50 years ago. It was his. So it's funny that you mentioned Harold. Big fan of Harold. Jeffrey Blues is about to get to Lauderdale Hard Rock. Let's go. Going on a cruise, stopping in Atlantis on Saturday, then back to Hard Rock Sunday morning for NFL bets. Jeffrey Blue, you do it nice, man. Guillermo Zertucci in the house, our leader in NFL Pub Hub. Don't forget, we have our Cappers contest show. Our leader in NFL Cappers contest. He could be our leader in NFL Pub Hub if he had more opportunities. He swept the board in his only appearance. He'll be back this Sunday. But we have our NFL Cappers contest show, back-to-back 4-1 weeks. We're now 24, 20-1. We're right in line for us to make a move here. The third quarter starts this week. Because we just finished 5-9, which was the second quarter. So there's a lot on the line. We need you guys to join us in our Cappers contest show. Jose Bouquet and myself will be hosting it at 3 p.m. Eastern today, and we need you guys. It's very exciting. 24, 20-1. It's been a difficult year. I mean, the last few weeks have been quite a bit easier, but it's been a difficult year. So I'm excited about that. So please join us. Please join us here. All right. Great to see all of you guys. Slatsy in the house. Lightning team total over 3.5. Tampa 7-2 last 9 versus Flyers. Scored at least all 4 goals in all 7 wins. And then I guess you'd be hoping that Braden Point will be out there, which he may be. But Braden Point is I was a little surprised how. Look, I know he's a monster. He's going to represent Canada in the 4 Nations, but it's a little surprised how weak they looked without him. Kong Smash play of the week. Trajan Gore moneyline and Pratis KO. Going to copy and paste that. Thank you for sharing that with us. Our guy Kong's Clips in the house. Kong's Clips. Let's see. It's been a while since I've got to play this. We got Kong's Clips giving out his Smash play of the day. And Jose Bouquet put out a beauty for our friend Kong. We have more action coming in from Cappers in the chat. Jim Dewigger locking in the App State Coastal over. We'll be talking about that. My dude running 9-3 in NBA this year. I'd love to see it. Jeffrey Blue balls play today. Gesicki over 50.5 yards. That always scares me. It always scares me. He just had a 100-yard game and 2 touchdowns, didn't he, last week? So that always makes me a little nervous to back it. But I get it. He's if T. Higgins isn't in the lineup, you double Jamar Chase and the tight ends are wide open. So I get the thinking behind it for sure. Dan Kelly, thank you, my friends. Great to see you. Your Cavs look amazing. And don't forget, Dan gave out Coach of the Year, and that was at 20-1. He kept giving it out all week nonstop, and I hope you guys rolled with our guy, Dan Kelly, because, man, do the Cavs look good. Philly Eagle Flyer ready to get to work. Slatsy says Point was at practice this morning. That's very important. Nate Dog 420, the pipe player. Christian Rivas, Old E, Nasty Nate. Great to see all you guys. Let's get to work. And the NHL has just been horrific for me to start out the season. I know a lot of Cappers are saying similar things. I'm going to keep hammering it. And but there's nothing I can say about this horrific record that I have. It's cost me a lot of money. I'm losing overtime games. Predators hit 5 posts yesterday, 1 in the first, 4 in the second period. And, all of Twitter was on the Capitals and sat back and got to cash that when they didn't. I don't feel like they in any way deserved it. Although Ovechkin, that was a snipe job. He shouldn't have been available there on the side of the net. And it was a thing of beauty. But look, there's nothing I can say other than that. This is the case. And I apologize. It sucks. I have a lot of friends and colleagues and, cappers that tail my action. And so it just hurts. And I'm going to cap my way out of it. Last year we ended up 17 units. We got down 23 at one point last year. It sucked. But, we got up 17 by the end of the year. We got up. There's only been 1 year out of 7 that I've been in the red with you guys. 7 years, but doing it publicly. There's nothing I can do. Yeah, Nasty Nate. Yeah, all of internet Twitter was on the Capitals. And, I tell you, good thing you guys cashed it because, you didn't deserve to, but you got it. And that's what matters. All right, let's roll on to NHL. Now, Bobano will be joining us, but we only have Bobano for a fixed amount of time. So Bobano's going to give us plays on these first few games. He's not going to recap this because we got to keep moving forward. And we have a 10-game college basketball slate that follows a 2-game NCAA football slate, which follows Thursday night football. So let's get to work here. Calgary Flames at Boston Bruins. So there's things that have been hurting me this year. Fading Calgary and fading Washington nonstop. And I'm going to continue to do that. I know it's cost me money right now, but I truly don't believe it will continue to cost me money. I know I'm going to get all of that shit back. Clark Edge, SMU minus 30.5 in college basketball. We are not capping that at SMU. There's some big teams that we're not capping just because it just seemed a little ridiculous here with the 30. Nate Dogg on Calgary money line here and Coleman to score. This is, I think, the best bet on the board here is fading the Calgary Flames. I think it is the best bet on the board. So I'm on the Bruins -1 at -119. I got the money line -185 and the puck line at +140. Let's take a look at what it is right now. This total 6 -116 to the under. It's bounced, it opened up at 6 -119 to the under. So it's just been a very small move to the over, despite it's, seeing a 6.5 at one point, a 5.5 at one point. It's been bouncing all over the place. Oh, wow. Sorry, there's just a move 9 minutes ago towards the over. So now we have, a 4-cent move towards the over. When we get to the money line here in the Bruins game, we have the Bruins at -180. They opened up at -180. They got up to -190. They're back at -180. There's been no movement. I can understand why the market doesn't agree with me in a lot of these spots today. I can get it. Maybe the best bet is on the next game, but this was just a must bet for me. TD Garden, Boston, Massachusetts. We have Dustin Wolf going up against Jeremy Swayman. Swayman's not looked very good this year, although he's looked quite a bit better over the last few games. 4-5-1, 3.14 goals against average, 894 save percentage, 1 shutout. Dustin Wolf, 4-2-0, 2.99 goals against average, 908 save percentage, no shutouts. Not flush 16 in the house. Nate Dogg on the first period over as well. Jay Stone in the house. Great to see you, Jay Stone. So here we go. If you're looking for a puck line, as you say, Jay Stone, here's your first one. It would be Bruins on the puck line. Both power plays are feeble. Calgary at 15.8%, Boston at 13.3%, 72.1% penalty killing for the Flames, 76.2% for the Bruins. Flames got their road trip off to a winning start. They defeated Montreal 3-2 in overtime on Tuesday night. I was on Montreal. It was 2-1 Montreal until 4 minutes left in the game. I lost it in overtime too. I'm just not getting the bounces in overtime. That will change, and I'm going to heat up. I know I'm going to heat up. I know it's close. Hopefully it's tonight. Anthony Mantha was hurt in the first period. He's listed as day-to-day with lower body injury. It was their second win in 3 games. This is game 2 of a 3-game road trip. They play at Buffalo on Saturday night. So keep a close eye on to what the Sabres do against the Rangers at Madison Square Garden tonight. And, of course, what the Flames do here in Boston, as it will help indicate what will happen on Saturday night. After the Bruins got blown out 8-2 at Carolina last Thursday, they rebounded by shutting out their next 2 opponents. They won at Philly 3-0 before defeating Seattle at home 2-0. Then they went into Toronto and lost 4-0 on Tuesday night. Of course, the only thing that's working for me this year. And it's very, very, very easy. And we just cash. Is you back a team in their first game without their star player. Austin Matthews was out, of course. The Leafs power play was doing nothing. And then the star player goes out. Leafs power play scores 3 goals. They win 4-0. It was very easy to cash the -1. The line went 25 cents against me and cashed easily. And then, of course, you fade the team when the star player returns, like we did last night with Vegas. Connor McDavid looked out of sorts, as always, when the star player returns. And even a team like Edmonton that needed their star player back so badly was still an instant fade. I didn't wait to the very perfect time, but I still got a +138 on Vegas. And don't get it twisted, because Vegas had to come back third period. That Zach Hyman goal, bad bounce off a stanchion. I mean, it's just happened to me every single game. The puck was shot in, it bounces off a stanchion in a crazy direction. The goaltender thinks it's going to go behind the net, and then Zach Hyman gets a gimme to make it 2-1. Edmonton didn't deserve the 2-1 lead. They didn't deserve to win that hockey game. Vegas was clearly the better hockey team throughout that game, and they won. So back to the spot. The Bruins come off a loss 4-0 on Tuesday in the center of the so-called center of the hockey universe in Toronto, and they're going to come back with a chip on their shoulder. And Calgary is playing good hockey. This is not a letdown spot by any means. I'm right with Nasty Nate. I think the Bruins smash here. I think it's now when he says smash, I don't think the Bruins are a very good hockey team. Let me say that. Unfortunately, now they can fix that. They have some nice pieces, especially McAvoy, at defense. But this is just a slow, plodding group, and they're not that good. But I do think they can easily beat the Flames. Pasternak, why is he not scoring? Well, because Marchand looks slow. Finally, I mean, he's been great his whole career, and Elias Lindholm is, not a number 1 line center. You don't have enough speed. You need young speed, and maybe Poitras can change that. Maybe Justin Brazeau can change that. I mean, Pavel Zacha, Charlie Coyle, they're doing all they can, but Pasternak has to be a 50 goal scorer, and he's not at this point. But we'll see how it bangs out. So there we go. DC Capper says, need Baltimore over 53. I'm on the other side of that, DC Capper. I'm on the under in Thursday Night Football. We'll talk about it. I love when two teams play each other and 79 points are scored, to expect it to be very different when they play each other again, and then having all the public thinking it'll be the exact same thing. But we'll talk about that in football. But yeah, we'll be going heads up in that one. So Bruins -1 and -119 to start off my card. Let's roll into next spot. New York Islanders, Ottawa Senators. Maybe this is the best bet on the board. And shout out to Chase J, now a PSR Gold member. He'll be racing for $50 today. We are past the we are finished the Breeders' Cup. So let's go back to Camels, Jose. Let's get them Camels out there. But let's roll. Andrew G saying one of the highest ever totals in Thursday night history. I could be wrong. It's but I love the under, and I tried to wait for the best possible time to move on it. Let's talk about Islanders Senators now. Another thing. So what else has been screwing me in NHL this year? I feel like every bad bounce going against me and all that stuff, and that shit will even out. Always does. But the fading teams with real injury issues has not been going very well. The Blues have stepped up in surprising situations dealing with their injury issues. And maybe the Islanders do here. But I am on the Ottawa Senators with the smash and grab. I got +114 on the Senators -1. I guess maybe this is my favorite spot on the NHL board. I got -143 on the money line and +177 on the puck line. This Senators team, and again, another thing that I've been doing, I got a laundry list of things I've been doing wrong, is that I have been expecting these teams that are playing poorly on the road to progress to the mean. That's why I was again on Vegas last night on the road. I mean, it was more about McDavid coming back, but I was on the Senators in Buffalo, and now the Senators put up 38 shots, but they were beaten, pretty soundly by the Sabres. But the Senators have been monsters at home, 5-1-0. So here we have a Senators team that's won 5 of 6 games at home against an Islanders team that's absolutely ravaged with injuries. Now, Forsberg is confirmed for the Sens. That's not good. Let's see what that line history is. Wow. So we've had a big move. Damn. All right. We've had a big move towards the Islanders. Well, I mean, it's not a big move if you consider the opening line, but I guess it's not even that big of a move. I don't like it. One of the things about NHL, and it's so different than the other sports, and you guys see that with me, is that I don't want to get too caught up in the market moves. I don't want to even look really at the cash flow. And I want to beat these line moves heavily. And I trust that I will do that, even though there are going to be some goaltending changes that may affect me. In the long run, I expect my EV to be head and shoulders above if I had have waited until like after our show. So this just went against me. But I think the idea from the Ottawa Brass is this New York Islanders team is completely beat up. And Slatsy says suddenly not the best bet on the board. You know what? I don't dislike it. I would say it's still maybe at this price point still fits. I mean, let's go over what we've seen from Forsberg, Anton Forsberg so far this year. So he is got he's been great. 9-10 save percentage, 2.65 goals against average. I mean, his stats are better, much better than Linus Ullmark's. So we're going to get a better price. Now, you can say, sure, you'd want Ullmark in net, but, Forsberg has earned all these opportunities. He's earned this spot in the NHL, and he had a bad year last year, and I think that's stuck in our heads, but Ottawa has been bad the last couple of years. Look at the last time Ottawa was a good team, was 21-22, and he had a 9-17 save percentage and a 2.82 goals against average. So maybe, yeah, I'm with you, Peasy. JP says, can't agree more on the Senators. How embarrassing to lose to Buffalo so ridiculously after they were out playing them to start the game. It was difficult to watch, but Luokkanen stood on his head. But this isn't just us backing the Senators at home. There's multiple angles why we're on the Senators here. And now again, these teams can step up with all these injuries, but let's talk about it. Nutflush says Sorokin can give up some goals here. He's been excellent. 4-3-1, 2.35 goals against average, 9.21 save percentage. He's probably a concern, but look at Ottawa's power play. I mean, I don't have the list of power plays in front of me, but I would guess that there's only 2 power plays ahead of them, that being the Winnipeg Jets and the Colorado Avalanche. That would be the only 2 teams that I would expect. Ottawa's power play 30.8%, penalty killing 74.3%. The Islanders' special teams have been atrocious, and we can explain why. First off, 13.6% power play, 66.7% penalty killing. They're dealing with injuries. So I love Adam Pelech. Pelech and Pulock. I think they're great defensemen. And Adam Pelech took a shot to the face, fractured his jaw last week, so he'll be out until mid-December. And that's a huge loss. But that's not all. Mike Riley and Alexander Romanov have missed the last 2 games. So these are 2 more defensemen. Riley missed last 2 games with upper body injury. Romanov missed 2 straight games with an upper body injury as well. Both are listed as questionable. So you have them out. Then you have Matthew Barzal on IR. Now, he got off to a poor start, but he's the best player on this hockey team. So he's out with an upper body injury. He's on IR. He'll come back mid-December. And then his line mate, Anthony Duclair, also on long-term IR with a lower body injury. This is just a ton of issues and a ton of built-in excuses for the New York Islanders. Senators, coming off that 5-1 loss at Buffalo. Shane Pinto has missed the last 6 games because of an injury. He's an important piece to this puzzle. He needed a goal and 3 assists before he went down. He could be ready to return. We think he could be in the lineup, and that would put Zach Ostapchuk back to the 4th line or out of the lineup. There is Dan Bonner says, long shot for sure, but I did a light sprinkle on the Sens to win in a shutout at 10-1. Or 100-1, right? Sorry, 10-1 is plus 1,000. Jesus. Oh no, that is plus. That's just 10-1. I win in a shutout. I guess. Oh yeah. Sorry, I was in my head thinking that you would call the 3-0 score, which of course would be like 60-1. Win in a shutout. Look, that's a very fascinating look, Dan, and I'll be watching it closely. I love those moves, so I will copy and paste that from Dan Bonner. But look, I love the Senators here. I love the bounce back opportunity. I am going to fade these teams dealing with injuries, even though in a sport like hockey, they really tend to step up in game 1 and then start slipping as those injuries, hurt them more. Another thing, Artem Zub's been out with a concussion. He might be available tonight too. So they might have Pinto and Zub back. He hasn't been in the lineup since October 14th. And so if he comes in, then Bernard Docker is a healthy scratch. So let's roll. Nut flush. Oh yeah, Sorokin. Yeah. I figured that one of those goals was a. I I figured that one of those goals was a empty netter, but did he not? Was that all 5? Let me just go over it. They're in big trouble, Sorokin. The Islanders, they just don't have enough offensive weapons, and the offensive weapons that they do have are too old. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he allowed 4 goals. There was 1 empty netter, and then he allowed 3 in that victory over the Penguins. They come in off that victory over the Penguins. Action says, is this supposed to be a smash and grab or something? Yeah, I'm very confident in the Senators in this spot. Now the Islanders can play with a lot of heart, and Patrick Waugh back in, Ottawa, which is, on the border of Ontario and Quebec. He'll have a bunch of fans there supporting him, but I'm on Ottawa. All right, we move on. So those are 2 spots to start the card that I have hit. Bruins -1 at -119. Senators -1 at +114. I figured that those were the best spots on the board when I was looking at this last night. Now some other spots have become appealing, but those were the best. Viper MB in the house. Let's roll on. Next up for us, 7 p.m. Eastern, with the Nashville Predators 4-7-1, 1-1-1 on the road to the Florida Panthers 9-3-1, 3-1-1 at home, Amerant Bank Arena in Sunrise, Florida. So this is a move I haven't made yet. Now, I'm watching all these games, of course, and I told you guys off the start of the year that I didn't want futures on the Predators because we know what happens when a team makes the most exciting offseason moves. They struggle. It always feels like year 2 is when they can start rolling. And, March or so and Stamkos, also, watching Yossi and Brady Shea together, they don't have comfort right now. All of this will change, but it hasn't changed yet. And Stamkos was moved onto the top line there with Forsberg. They're trying to figure things out with, Forsberg and O'Reilly, and they haven't figured it out yet. But they should have won that game against Capitals. I mean, 4 posts in the second period was too much. And then they scored a goal that we thought was a legit goal to tie it up at 3 with 7 minutes left that they called off for goalie interference. And, just the bounces aren't going our way. Of course, they challenged that goal. And then, of course, then you have the penalty. So it was. Now, in saying that, I didn't have the balls to bet this yet, but I want to. I want the Predators first period. The thing is that the line's moving towards Florida, and there's no rush. Nashville opened up +163. They're now +176. Nashville's champing, and I want them here to start this off with Florida coming back from Finland. The total in this one is 6. It's -116 to the over. That's exactly what it opened, so nothing's happened here on the total. Andrew G says Panthers are winning again. Hugh Janus in the house. Great to see you. DC Capper coming off a monster night. I'd love to see it. So here, we have Wedgwood in net, and Lankinen was their backup. He's now in Vancouver starring, and Wedgwood hasn't looked good in 2 games. Nate Dogg on Florida money line with Reinhart to score and an assist and the first period over. Sergei Bobrovsky 6-2-1, 3.08 goals against average, 892 save percentage. Nashville power play 20.9%. It will only improve. Their penalty killing 93.2% has always been good. Florida 25.7% and 86.8% penalty kill. Predators on a back-to-back after losing their second straight game 3-2 at the Capitals. Look, I've already whined about it. Colton Sissons blocked a shot with his hand and left the game. He didn't return. And Thomas Novak out with an upper body injury, so they expect to call up Mark Jankowski. He's been he's been a healthy scratch of late. The Panthers come back from a very successful trip to Finland, where they swept both games against tough Dallas Star squad. Jay Stone says Florida is nasty in the first period, and I'm going to bet against them here in the first period, and I'm not going to take a +0.5 or anything like that. I'm going to take the money line. So Florida played Friday and Saturday in Tampere, Finland. They were superstars. They beat a very good Dallas team. They partied all night Saturday in Finland. They didn't come home on Sunday. They got that last day in Finland. And now they come back. It's just Thursday. And are they going to be ready to go? I'm going to bet against it. And now, will they gather themselves? I mean, this is a team that's have they won straight? 5 straight wins. Maybe they gather themselves up and get themselves together. But Jay Stone, I would put a line personally, and this is how I do. I put a line through anything that the Panthers have done in the first period in this situation. I mean, how often do you have them flying back from Finland where they just swept the Dallas Stars and they were superstars? So I'm going to move on the Predators first period. I just got to I think the time is fine right now. I don't think this continues to move towards Florida. Red Girl in the house, great to see you. So Predators first period will be added to my card. Now, here's the next spot that I want to add to my card. 7 p.m. Eastern, Montreal Canadiens 4-7-2, 1-3-1 on the road. At the Devils 8-5-2, 3-2-2 at home. You know, the pricing of both the Canadiens and the Devils is shocking. No, Barbarito, he's not spoken to me in maybe 3. I think we're going on 4 years now. So, yeah, no, he was great. I loved him. Yeah, I loved him. But these things happen, and when you're 45 years old, you're not searching for friendship. So, if somebody wants to go in a different direction, then God bless him, and I only wish him the best. But I was sitting here with a young family, capping 100 hours a week. I don't go outside. I don't go out. I don't see anybody. I just gamble with you guys, and I cap with you guys. That's my life, and I'm going to keep my head down and continue doing it until the kids are 18, and then I'll start doing things again. So let's roll. We have the FanDuel play of the day from my dude. FanDuel play of the day again. Check out our link at the top of the page where we have all the offers from all the different books. Julius Randle over 20 points at minus 140. So copy and paste that. Thank you, man. And Nate Dogg on Montreal money line. And I can't get there, and I wish I could. And but the market has this crazy, absolutely crazy. The Canadiens and the like, this is just too much for me. I mean, the New Jersey Devils have won 3 of 7 games at home in regulation, and they're being priced like the best team in the National Hockey League. This total, by the way, is 6.5. It's juiced to the under at minus 111, a 4-cent move to the under. When we get to the money line here, I can't. I mean, how in the world are the Devils minus 308? They opened up at 305. They got up to 318. How are the Habs plus 266? Now, I know the Habs have lost 4 straight. And look, I know that there is the Devils are a better hockey team than the Habs. And also, Kong Slip saying every Thursday night, a no sweat bet on FanDuel. If you haven't checked it already. Remo says his intro was so fire back in the day. Look, I loved Max, and he was an easy capper to put stuff together for. He's a wild one. All right, so Habs Devils, Prudential Center in Newark. Montembeault 3-5-1, 3.37 goals against average, 897 save percentage. Slatsy says Montembeault confirmed for the Habs, marksman for the Devils. Surprised the Devils didn't give Jake Allen, former Hab, the start. Habs 5 on play has been terrible. It's been terrible. They've not looked good. Their special teams have looked pretty good. 21.7% power play, 82.2% penalty killing. The Devils 30.4% power play. I know that I said that that I expected Ottawa's power. Oh, it is better by 0.4%. So the Devils are right there as well. 83.3% penalty kill. They come in off their 4 straight loss, 3-2 in overtime. The Habs do at the Bell Center in Montreal on Tuesday night. And the Devils just finished off a successful 3-game Western road trip with a 3-0 victory at Edmonton on Monday. So, and Norman Ross says Devils are minus 350 on BetMGM. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Now, there are a lot of lines that don't make sense to me in the NHL, and I'm fine with it. I don't let it confuse me. I don't stay off of it like I do in other sports, because this is my wheelhouse, even though my record doesn't imply that. Sati says right now Montreal's the worst defensive team in the NHL. I still love them, but they're a long way from where they want to get to. So now part of this bet that I would like to make here is that I wanted it with the Flyers when they went to Carolina, and it was on Tuesday night, and I didn't move on it because I fear the Hurricanes so much, but it would have cashed. And this is it. It's Montreal first period plus a half. We have the Devils coming back from a road trip. It's a situation where I generally like to fade a team. Now, maybe you can't trust Montreal, but I wonder, after how they played and losing in overtime and losing 4 straight, can we get 20 minutes out of them? The first period plus a half is minus 130. The Flyers first period plus a half against the Hurricanes was minus 140, and it went down to minus 135. These were at 365. So with that being said, I want to be on first period plus a half with the Habs at minus 130. I think that they're angry bit, ready to fire away, and the Devils are, coming back from a very successful trip where they just shut out Edmonton. In saying that, I'm not certain that I get there. A minus 130 is a lot of vig, but I like the spot. So when I say I'm going to add the Preds first period, I'm not certain about adding the first period plus a half on the Habs, but I certainly am interested in it. Paul Thompson says, looking forward to Woodbine later. I wish I could hammer the Woodbine card later, but I've got the Cappers contest show, Paul, at 3 p.m. Eastern, then, of course, Thursday Night Football, so can't do that, but I wish I could. Let's roll on. Next up for us, 7 p.m. Eastern, we have Buffalo Sabres at New York Rangers, Madison Square Garden in New York. Luokkanen looks phenomenal right now. Now, I know his number is 2.92 goals against average, 904 save percentage, but he got off to a poor start, and he looks great right now. And Shesty's a monster, 2.22 goals against average, 933 save percentage, 1 shutout. Buffalo's power plays at 12.8%. I hate the roster decision-making that's gone on for this team over the last 5 or 6 years. And Kevin Adams is in a tough spot, and I don't like what he's done, but he had to fix all these problems from his predecessor. Lindy Ruff is a phenomenal coach. I love him. Devils shouldn't have got rid of him. Lindy Ruff has, changed a lot in Buffalo. Sabres coming off snapping their 3-game losing streak in a 5-1 home victory over Senators on Tuesday. Rangers coming off their second straight win, 5-2 at home over the Islanders on Sunday. Both teams are very healthy, and I kept going back to my watching the Rangers at home, and when I watch them at home, it just feels like they play more defensive. They don't try to destroy the opposition in the same way that they do on the road. They've now played 6 games at home, and they're 4-1 in one of those 6 games. They are also they had their first game, which went way over, and often happens in the beginning of the year when teams just aren't quite as defensively responsible and accountable as mid-year. And then they won the last game went over, that 5-2 win at home over the Islanders on Sunday. The 4 games in between all went under, and Luokkanen's playing out of his mind, and the Sabres know that they can't go goal for goal with the Rangers. So I'm very interested in the under in this one. Let's go over the line history here. We have the Rangers right now at minus 195. I thought that was kind of a fishy line. Kind of told me that, another thing about the Rangers that I found interesting was that game against the Islanders was on Sunday. It's Thursday. They've had a few days off. Are they going to be as sharp as you want them to be here? And of course, I don't have that answer, but I certainly thought about it. From a total standpoint here with the Rangers spot, we have a 6, and this was minus 116 to the over. This was minus 118 to the over when the show started. So we had a 10-cent move to the under. And look, I agree with the move. I agree. I don't want the first period under Action Jackson. I want the full game under. I want the under, and I'm going to move on it. I think that Luokkanen will play excellent. That if you have Dahlin and Owen Power on the ice, one of them at all times, that you're in good shape to play defensive, responsible hockey. And those guys are giants, so their reach is out of this world. And Sean Pulliam in the house. So with all that being said, I'm on the under 6 Sabres Rangers. Let's roll on. 7 p.m. Eastern. Here's another line that I thought was pretty wild and pretty shocking. I understand that Pittsburgh's not a good hockey team, and I've been saying that for how many years now, but for them to be this big of a dog, this is the only type of situation where I would want Pittsburgh. Now, I don't ever want to fake Carolina at home. This totals at 6.5. It's minus 111 to the under. Now minus 110 to the under. Open minus 114 to the under. So a slight move towards the over. When you get to the money line here for this spot, we have a Pittsburgh at plus 229. It's just they opened up at plus 221. So from the other side of things, Carolina opened up at minus 259 and got up to minus 266. Not a ton of movement. But this doesn't really appeal to me here. Shout out to Donut Silks in the house. You got Nedeljkovic and Kochekov. So obviously you have Nedeljkovic with a anger towards Carolina. I mean, Nedeljkovic was a Vezina finalist that Brendan Moore didn't want on the hockey team, which is, obviously says a lot about Nedeljkovic's character, or what Rod Brendan Moore thinks of Nedeljkovic's character. You have Kochekov trying to take the irons here and be the lead man for Carolina, but with that spectacular team in front of me. He only has an 878 save percentage. Pittsburgh power play 22.5%, penalty killing 85.4. Carolina power play at 25, penalty killing 83.3. Slatsy says Kane's 7-0 last 7 games. Kane's 7-2 last 9 versus Pens, and under 6-0 last 6 meetings. Well, that's how you'd have to play Carolina. You'd have to play in a very, I mean, look at Natchez. It pisses me off so much, Martin Natchez rolling like this in a contract year because, I had him in the hockey pool last year and he was just a very average player, a little above average. Now he looks like a elite player that the Canucks are after. Everybody's trying to get, or at least figure out the room. The Oilers want him. They want to figure out, make sure that they have the contract room to sign him in the offseason. Rod Zawacki says, bet against Pittsburgh in away or neutral games on the money line against good defensive teams. And Pittsburgh record since the 2023 season, 0-8. Yeah, first off, they coming off after having their modest 2-game winning streak snapped in a 4-3 shootout loss at the Islanders on Tuesday. But Brian Rust is being cleared for contract. He's been on IR with a lower body injury. LJ from H-John says Carolina -1.5 every home game won by 2 goals. Yeah, no, I get it. But Rust is being cleared for contact, excuse me. So he could play. He had full practice on Wednesday. So he could be here. Now, it might not be tonight. He's traveling with the team. Then you have Kevin Hayes. Kevin Hayes missed practice on Wednesday. He's being evaluated for an upper body injury. He got off to a nice start, but he's not looked good of late. He's got 3 shots in his last 6 games, and he looks old and he looks tired out there, and it's too bad. The Hayes family in hockey in Massachusetts in Boston is just a beloved family, but he looks a little tired out there. So if he misses time, Puustinen will take his spot. Hurricanes coming off their 7th straight win. Look, they're monsters. This concludes a 4-game homestand. It's not usually a spot end of the homestand that I like to back a team. Action Jackson says this line is screaming smash. Here for me, actually, and you guys go ahead and hammer this, just like LJ's doing. Go ahead and hammer this. But for me, I think the Penguins play up to the level of competition. And the only times I would ever want them is a big dog. I want to fade them every single time they're a favorite. And that's the way I plan on handling this. So I don't want to be involved in this game, although the under is appealing that Slatsy was talking about, because you're going to get Nedeljkovic to play his best game. You're getting a 6.5, which is pretty high, and there were just 10 goals scored in that Philly game. Interesting. It's very, and I love Carolina home unders. And the Pittsburgh penalty killing has been strong. They're going to play a real clean hockey game on the road. I think it's a fascinating look. Under 6.5 from Slatsy. I'm going to put Slatsy's name there. I may join you on this one, Slatsy. I think this makes sense. Again, I know that what we're doing is we're investing in these spots, but at this point, I would have a move on every single game, which does make me a little nervous with my success to start the year. Rodney Barton in the house. Rod Zawacki says Sabres have lost each of their last 10 road games following a home win. Let's roll on. Next up for us, Philadelphia Flyers at Tampa Bay Lightning. Flyers 4-8-1, 2-4-1 on the road at Tampa Bay Lightning, 7-6-0, 4-1-0 at home. As you guys know, first off, Samuel Urson has been dealing with a lower body injury, so Alexei Kolosov is in net. And with Urson dealing with the injury, Fedotov, I hope I got these names right. Fedotov is in the minors, the 6'6" goaltender that was supposed to save everything. And, Bobano came on the show and said that Fedotov is not a goaltender that can play. He's not an NHL goaltender. And I vehemently disagreed. And I think the sample size is too small. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to put my money where my mouth is, because as soon as I said that, Fedotov was dropped to the minors. Now he's backing up Kolosov here. But Fedotov is the better goaltender between him and Kolosov. I mean, but I have not had the opportunity to put my money where my mouth is. I want to back the Flyers. I was looking closely. You guys know I don't believe in the Washington Capitals, and I was looking very closely at their under 94.5 points, them not to make the playoffs. And for the first time that I can remember in a while, the East is weak. These teams at the bottom of the there's a bunch of them. I was like, who's going to win? Who's going to take that spot away from the Capitals? I don't know who is. So, Slatsy says Kolosov being confirmed makes me love the Tampa team total even more. Yeah, no, I get that. Kolosov, I don't think should be there. It should be Fedotov. But so the Flyers can still make the playoffs. I got in at plus 425 a few days ago. It's plus 600 now. Probably should have waited, but obviously I believed in the hockey team. Yeah, Vasilevsky for the Lightning. He's not looked very good. Lightning aren't playing that well, and you can say that's because Braden Point is hurt, and that's fair. Braden Point's a monster. 8 goals, 13 assists, 21 shots in 12 games this year. So Hagel, if he's not available, it's Hagel and Cirelli on the top line with Kucherov, and then Chaffee gets the first power play unit. So it's a big step back when Point's not in the lineup. Let's get into the line history here for this one. This total is at 6. It's minus 112 to the over. It's opened up at even money to the over, so we've had a 12-cent move towards the over. And when we get to the money line here in this one, we have the Lightning at minus 201, which is, and they open at minus 200. When it comes down to with this spot here, I don't want to fade the Philadelphia Flyers. I think that the market is not correct with them. And I don't think Kolosov should be in net. I don't have the chance to put my money where my mouth is and back Fedotov. And I don't know if Braden Point is going to play here. So with all that said, I don't want... Now, look, the Lightning coming off a disappointing road trip. It started with that 5-2 win at Colorado and then followed by 5-3 loss to Minnesota, 7-4 loss to Winnipeg, 3-2 loss Tuesday night at the Blues team. They're struggling with injuries. And Rich H says Tampa Bay is 6 days off after this game. That's interesting. So do they put it all on the line or are they thinking about what they're going to do, afterwards? With all this said and done, and that's interesting, Rich. Why in the world would you bring Braden Point back from his lower body injury if he's got 6 days off coming up? That's a great point, Rich. Thank you for sharing that. So with it all said and done, I'm off of this game. Love hearing you getting that cash, Hugh, my man. Let's roll on. Let's roll on here to a good one. The one I'm moving on. Utah Hockey Club at St. Louis Blues. We're at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. Action Jackson says Flyers are the worst team in the NHL. God, I wonder what kind of... Can you come up with a bet then, Action Jackson? Come up with a bet. I mean, I could do it on my own time and bring it to the show tomorrow. But, it's just a ludicrous statement. You're saying the team with the most first-round picks in the NHL. Now, it is a very young team. Is the worst team in the NHL. I couldn't disagree more with you. And I hate Tortorella, but I couldn't disagree more. And I'd love to put money down to show how much I disagree with that comment. Now, obviously, we can't make a bet that they won't be last. I mean, of course, they're not going to be last. You would need huge odds on that one. So, I just disagree so much. I want to bet that so badly. The worst regular season record right now, the Flyers are 22-1 to have the worst regular season record. So I can't give you that shit, but I can just say I disagree. And it's fun to disagree. No harm in that. Utah Hockey Club, St. Louis Blues, Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. We have Connor Ingram, who's not looked good this year. He's a goaltender I don't trust. I wasn't sure if he can be a starting goaltender in the NHL. Now he's earned the opportunity to have it. 5-2-3, 3.57 goals against average, 881 save percentage. Jordan Binnington, 4-5-0, 2.77 goals against average, 904 save percentage. Utah power play, 17.1%. Penalty killing, 77.8. St. Louis power play, 12.9. Penalty killing, 78.4. So you guys know I'm fading the Islanders, and it's heavily based on their injuries. And I'm going to fade the Blues. And this hasn't been working. It's not been working. But I'm not going to stop. I've got to trust the angles that I perceive are the realest, that I've got to attack them. And that's what I'm doing. So right now, Utah has moved to minus 112. That's nice to see, man. That's really nice to see. I got in at minus 104. And, is it comfortable backing a hockey team that's lost 5 of their last 6 games? No. But Varlamov confirmed for the Isles. Thank you, my man. And Gorky, my man Gordon Dankowski, moving on Lazio money line. So I have to fade the injury situation for the St. Louis Blues. I just have to do it. And let's go over what's going on with St. Louis right now. Now it looks like Dylan Holloway. And so Dylan Holloway takes a puck to the neck. They all play incredible for him. And he now looks like he's okay. He could play tonight. He may play tonight. Kasperi Kapanen also dealing with upper body injury. He could play tonight. But Philip Broberg and Nick Leddy are pulled from this team. This is a team that doesn't have Torrey Krug all year. And then they lose their star player in Robert Thomas, who's their best player. So you take 2 of their top 4 defensemen out. You take Robert Thomas out, and maybe you add Dylan Holloway and Kasperi Kapanen out. It's just, it's too much. It's too much. And I will challenge St. Louis every single game. Now, unfortunately, I can't on Saturday night because the Capitals come to St. Louis, and I will lose the house fading the Capitals. I'm going to keep fading the Capitals. Now, I know Strome is playing spectacularly well, and McMichael's better than I imagined. And, Sandin, why the Leafs let him go is a mystery to me. But, yeah, the problem is he's taking a team that's 22-1. It's not fair if I take a team that I think, it's not fair. So, Broadswax says bet on road teams when the money line is -100 to -150. A cold team failing to cover spread in 8 or more of the last 10 since 1997. Wow. Look, this is a cold road team right in that wheelhouse. And Utah comes in off its second straight loss to start this 4-game road trip. And it was a tough 4-3 overtime. So here, it begins with a 4-3 overtime loss at Vegas, whom I think is a very good hockey team. Then they go up to Winnipeg. They're 12-1. So this is a considerably easier spot. And then you have the rash of injuries the Blues are facing. And I said 5-6. Utah's lost 6 of 7, and I'm still backing them here. I love seeing the market move towards them now. I got -104. So we have at this point 1, 2, 3, 4 games left in NHL, but we do have our star of Thursday programming here. AOD in the house. Great to see you. Yeah, I can't give you 22-1, but the books can, Action Jackson. So put it in at the books. I mean, $100, you pick up 2,200. Put it into the books. I can't give you 22-1. That's just not the kind of moves I would prefer to make. I'll be thinking about it every night, but I know it's not the case. I disagree vehemently. But let's bring on our star. Now, we're not going to break down the games that we don't have time because we need Bobano for college football, college basketball, and NFL. But we're going to hear his looks on each of those games that we've talked about thus far. So without further ado, please welcome the star of Thursdays here on Betting with the Bag, coming to us from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada's black and yellow, Mr. Ian Cameron to the show. Bobano, how are you?
Good to be with you, Jimmy. Let's rock.
Bobano, we're just going to go rapid fire here. Flames, Bruins.
Yeah, that's system play for me. First period over, full game over. Team off a shutout loss. It's been a brilliant angle. It's cashed, I think, at a 16-5 type of clip, close to it. I have forget the exact record, but it's really strong. It's been very good. Last night it wasn't great though with the 2 games, Nashville, Washington, and Vegas, Edmonton, but it was a 4-0 the previous night with Seattle versus Colorado and Philadelphia versus Carolina. Both fit that angle. Team off a shutout loss, bet overs. And it's been very good all year. Boston's off a shutout loss to Toronto, so this is why the angle fits. That's it for me here. Over 1.5 -120 first period. Over 5.5 minus. Whoa, shit! This has moved. Holy mackerel! 6 now the total. Holy mackerel! We'll go with the 5.5 at -135 for the full game.
All right, you are locked in. I'm on the Bruins -1 in that one. Then we have Islanders, Senators. Your action.
Islanders, Senators, pass. We can move on.
Then we have Predators, Panthers. Your action.
That one, Nashville and Florida. Florida coming off. I like over 6 -115 a little bit. I'll make that official. Over 6 -115. I think Florida's going to play a little sloppy here. First game back after playing in Europe. Nashville, I think, offensively on the back-to-back can do enough. Don't really trust the Predators, though, with their defense. And we're not going to see Saros tonight because we saw him last night. So I think Florida can score. I think it's a good over spot.
I'm going to be on the Predators first period. I just wanted to talk it out with everybody before. So I haven't bet it yet, but I will be the others that we'll talk about. I have bet. Habs, Devils, Prudential Center. Take it away.
Les Habitants and the Devils. It's interesting here in Montreal. It's a brutal loss for them against Calgary. They deserve better than that. They've played a little bit better defensively in their own end. We'll see if that carries over to this game. New Jersey, meanwhile, coming back home off the road trip. It's not a great spot. Nothing official here for me. I leaned over, but I don't like it enough.
I kind of like Habs first period plus a half, but I don't know. It's -130. I don't know if I can pay that vig on that, but I like it. Sabres, Rangers, Madison Square Garden.
I'm taking a shot with Buffalo here, plus price, believe it or not. I think it's a solid spot. They've given the Rangers at times some difficulties. You're getting a Buffalo here, plus 175 at Betway. is the best price available. Just thinking this spot here for the Rangers, a little overvalued. They're coming off the win against the Islanders, back-to-back wins for them. Buffalo with the 5-1 win against Ottawa. Again, we've seen Buffalo play well at Madison Square Garden. The last 3 meetings, they've won 2 of them, and the only win for the Rangers, it went to overtime. Give me the draw, too. I'm going to get aggressive here with this. Sabres in the draw for me. I think we've got ourselves a close game here. Buffalo's played this team tough at Madison Square Garden over the years. And like we say with the Rangers, I still think of that Ottawa game where, they barely eked out a win in that one. Sabres certainly have some offensive punch. They've been scoring a little more lately. So Buffalo plus 175, and I'll take my first draw shot on this card at plus 390.
Ooh, 390, big score there. Penguins, Hurricanes, Lenovo Center.
Yeah, this one, Pittsburgh, that was a tough loss for them against the Islanders the other night. We'll see how this one plays out. Carolina's just been motoring along. I don't think Brind'Amour's going to love, what they did at the defensive end against the Flyers the other night. Wasn't one of their better games in that regard against the Flyers. Nedeljkovic in net for the Penguins, though he is a former Hurricane, so he's probably going to want to play better. Kochetkov in net for Carolina. I'm not stepping in front of Carolina, but I don't love the value. Even with the over, I mean, they're betting over. It's juiced to 6.5 here. I like Kochetkov. And Nedeljkovic isn't great, but he's better than the other 2 goalies, Jari and Blomqvist. And the thing about Nedeljkovic too is he's going back to Carolina to face his old team. He might have a good night here, and certainly be amped up and motivated to have a great night. So I kind of leaned over, but that took me off it.
I'm going to bet the under, and it wasn't a plan. Slatsy talked about it, and I sat with it a little bit, thought about Needles coming back. Again, I haven't bet that
yet.
The
Penguins did play 2 better defensive games, and really 3 better defensive games until that meltdown in the third period against the Islanders.
And you know how you play. You got to play with fear in Carolina.
Yep.
You got to keep it deep and cycle, and don't give them any odd man rushes. And okay, Flyers, Tampa Bay Lightning, Amalie Arena, Tampa, Florida. An interesting point brought up by Rich H was that Tampa has 6 days off after this. So would you bring back Braden Point from the lower body injury, which he's capable of coming back in this game? Now, if he says he wants to play, you let the man play. Take it away, though, Bobano. Flyers, Lightning.
I'm not going to get involved. I don't want to. I kind of lean Flyers at this price with Tampa struggling, but do I want Tampa off 3 games in a row where they lost to end that road trip and now back home looking to bounce back? I don't think so. And when you look at this, plus we got to see who's going to be in net for the Flyers. Erson's been banged up.
It's confirmed, though. It's Kolosov.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, at least I was hearing from Torch, they left the door open for Erson maybe to be back. But now that it's Kolosov,
he's traveling with the team. So he was in full gear on Tuesday. So it's not out of the question, but we heard from Slatsy that it was confirmed. Can you confirm that?
Give me Tampa Bay team total now, over 3.5 minus 108. That's all I needed to see. No goalie outside of Ersson is NHL ready at the moment for the Philadelphia Flyers.
I've told you I want to I'm going to put my money where my mouth is on Fedotov, but I just haven't had the opportunity since we talked about it. He's been backing up Kolosov, but I'm going to bet on
what's that commercial in Toronto, the lawyer firm? Don't put it off, fade Kolosov. That's what we're doing right here, right now.
Flyers team total over 3.5 what was the juice?
Oh, a minus 108. I like the juice. Very low juice. Minus 108 with a Lightning team total over 3.5.
And that's the same spot as well that Slatsy's on. Okay, then we have Utah, St. Louis. Take it away. Then we start capping the next game together. Take it away.
System play again with Utah off a shutout loss, which they got shut out by Winnipeg 3-0 their last game. So that's first period, full game over. This has been a good angle all year, as I've talked about. So Utah, St. Louis over 1.5 minus 112 first period, and Utah, St. Louis over 5.5 minus 118 for the full game.
Okay, great work. Okay, we're right where we need to be, but we got to be quick through these games. Next up for Bobano and I, Chicago Blackhawks, Dallas Stars. Blackhawks 5-7-1, 4-4-1 on the road. Stars 7-4-0, 5-1-0 at home. And BJ, Best bet Bengals +7. I'm on them +6.5. We'll be talking about that here in a second. Also on the total. I can't wait for the game tonight. I can't wait. I'm so excited about this live stream tonight. So please join us. Got that copied and pasted, BJ. Thank you, my man. Don't put it off. Fade, call us off.
Don't put it off. Fade, Kolosov. There we go. People like that. Sokolov Lawyers is the
nice call.
jingle I'm referencing here. Yeah.
American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. RV Soderblom, 2.35 goals against average, 927 save percentage. Looks pretty good in 3 games. I do not trust Mrazek at all. Should have faded him last night. It's always tricky with these road favorites, and I was already on the Predators. So Ottinger, 5.20, 2.44 goals against average, 917 save percentage, 1 shutout. He is the real deal. Scump Blaster says under in Stars Blackhawks. Chicago power play 21.4%, penalty killing 76.2%, Dallas power play 19.4%, penalty killing 88.6%. I'm fading the Panthers on the first period against Nashville, but I do find it different. Now, both the Predators and the Blackhawks are on the second half of a back-to-back, but the Predators are smashing their head against the wall, as we predicted with the changes. Shea and Yossi don't look very comfortable together, even though they'll figure it out. They're fiddling with the lines now. They put Stamkos up to the top line. Marchessault is just doing nothing right now. But they're a team full of talent, angry, and they hit 5 posts. They hit 4 posts in the second period. Again, I know all of Twitter was on Capitals. I'm still angry that I didn't cash with the Preds. And I don't ever want to back the Blackhawks. So Slatsy on Stars first period -0.5. So maybe the thinking in comparison to the Panthers game when the Panthers won both times and partied the whole time is that the Stars just lost and are sort of embarrassed and angry. And that angle I get. Seguin is dealing with a lingering lower body injury. And they said a couple days ago, this could last a year. I mean, why would you just sit him down for a couple months? Mason Marchman also day-to-day with an undisclosed injury. Broadswag says, bet the under in the total in Peter DeBoer games after failing to cover the spread in 2 or more consecutive games. Under record as coach of Dallas, 20-6. Irish King says, too easy last night. Irish King, yeah, right, dude. 4 posts the Predators hit in the second period, man. And then they had the goal called back with 7 minutes left in the third to tie it up. But take it away, Bobano, Blackhawks, Dallas.
Yeah, there's not much to say here. I don't want any part of this. I mean, Chicago is on a back-to-back tricky spot, losing to Detroit. National game as well. And getting the Stars here. And look, it's not a great star spot, and the price is not good either. But, yeah, unlike Florida, you mentioned it, Dallas is off losing both games to the Panthers over there in Finland. So I think there's going to be onus to bounce back. They're a little bit banged up. I actually lean under with this game, but it's a pass for me.
Yeah, I'm off of it here. I'm off of it here, but I can understand that. So, again, I talked about this right off the top. This Avalanche Jets game, this market made no sense to me. And in other sports, when the market just makes no sense whatsoever, I want to stay off. I try to stay off. And here I was like, I tell you guys that sometimes in the NHL there are just gifts, and it's a simple game. It's not as complicated, and the markets are much smaller, and that the markets can be behind, and they're behind right now on how bad the Avalanche is. We already heard Mel come in the chat a little while ago saying she's on everything. Jets, puck line, Jets team total over, Jets. And I was like, this line doesn't make sense. So for hours, I was like, it just doesn't make sense. Why is it not moving? Why is it moving towards Colorado? Especially with the injuries that Colorado has. I mean, Colorado is just a beat up group right now. We have Cale Makar, who I guess he's going to try to play, and I respect Makar, but he's, hurting. Druin's not coming back. Nishushkin, who's come back from rehab, will hopefully play in about a week, and I'm sure he'll be a big bonus up front. Ross Colton was playing spectacularly well. He's out till December with a foot injury. Miles Wood, actually could come back, even though we don't think he will. And so I was like, look, if I'm saying this to you guys, I have to bet it. I have to put my money where my mouth is. I can't let this weird line affect me. So that's what I did. I bet the Jets on the -1 line. I got +119. How in the world am I getting +119? Money line -135, puck line +179.
Playoff revenge, too. Their first crack at Colorado since they got bounced in the first round.
It just makes no sense to me. We're still right at that line, and I had to bet it.
I heard Makar's okay, but it's not for sure yet that he's going to play tonight. It's not a long-term injury, though. It's day-to-day.
It's not. No, yeah, he's phenomenal. I mean, what a monster. Georgiev, 4.62 goals against average, 822 save percentage, being terrible. Hellebuck's being Vezina worthy once again. Colorado, these are the best 2 power plays in the league.
Yeah.
But I'm not rushing to the window to bet an over just because this is going to be a very intense hockey game. And for a team like the Avalanche, there's just one line you need to worry about. Nathan McKinnon's been spectacular to start the year off. This total is at 6.5. It's minus 112 to the over. It was minus 107 to the over. A 5-cent move to the over. Bobano, take it away. Avalanche Jets at Canada Life Center.
So I have 4 bets on this one game here with the Avs and the Jets. So this is the one I'm most invested in today. I'm on Winnipeg money line, and I know you went -1. I'll just go with the money line, minus 135, best price out there. I'm on Jets team total over 3.5 plus 102. So Jets team total over 3.5 plus 102, and I'm on the over bifecta, as I call it on the Ice Guys show, which is when I'm on the first period and the full game over bifecta. So that's over 1.5 minus 138 first period, and over 6.5 minus 106 for the full game. So there we go. A lot of trends point to first period over, and a lot of trends point to full game over historically head-to-head with these two teams. And then you factor in their recent form. Colorado, 5 straight overs coming into tonight. Winnipeg, their last, 10 games, 8-2 to the over. And I think after a bit of a slog with the Winnipeg Jets in their last game, a rare game where it was kind of a tighter affair against Utah, I think you'll see some goals here. Let's not forget, even though I like Winnipeg, I think and I certainly have no issues going against Georgiev. He's been terrible. But Colorado got a big boost offensively from the return of Arturi Lehkonen in their last game. And Lehkonen goes right to McKinnon and Rantanen, that top line, and he is good there. He's had great chemistry there. So I think Colorado will chip in some goals here for as good as Hellebuck has been this season. So over bifecta, Jets money line, Jets team total over.
You are locked and loaded. We got 2 games left before we get into Thursday night NFL. Vancouver Canucks at Los Angeles Kings. And Lankinen has been spectacular. I wonder what Nashville thinks when they see Wedgewall in net.
Yep.
Lankinen has not lost in regulation. 6-0-2, 2.09 goals against average, 923 save percentage, 1 shutout, and he knows the opportunity at hand. It's to have a career in the NHL, and he's taking it and riding. Darcy Kemper on the other side, 899 save percentage. I got a fun bet with Ricky Levine that he'll have under a 904 save percentage. But he has to play 40 games. He's right there. He's right around the precipice. Did have a 16 save shutout a little while ago. Vancouver power play 16.7%, penalty killing 82.4%. LA Kings power play 17%, penalty killing 80%. And I don't back Vancouver very often. They opened up their 3-game California road trip with a 3-2 win at Anaheim that was underwhelming. A 3-2 win at San Jose that was underwhelming, and then a 5-1 win at Anaheim that was impressive on Tuesday night. And then you have the Kings, who looked extremely good on a short 2-game road trip. They defeated Nashville on Monday 3-0, and then they beat Minnesota on Tuesday 5-1. So they outscored their opponents, 2 good opponents, 8-1. Now this is their 3rd game in 4 nights. So Sunday they fly into Nashville. Monday night they fly to Minnesota. And then Wednesday night they fly back to LA. And I want to fade that. And would I usually want to back the Canucks, to finish off the sweep a California trip? No. And I hadn't bet this yet. I wanted to talk it out. So talking it out, I want Vancouver now. This total at 5.5. It's minus 108 to the over. This opened up at 6, and it was only minus 115 to the under. It bounced to 5.5, bounced to 6. You could have got a 6. You could have got under 6 at minus 104. At what time? Like an hour before the show started. Not even. Right when the show started, you could have got it. And there's been a move to the under at 5.5. On the money line here, we have these Canucks at minus 113. They opened up at minus 103. There's a 10-cent move towards the Vancouver Canucks. Rod Zweig says, bet against an underdog against the money line after having won 4 or 5 of their last 6 games. Tired team playing 6 or more in 10 days.
This is 3 and 4 nights, all with travel for LA as well. They were back-to-back Minnesota, Nashville, and you're going, Central Time Zone to Pacific, 3rd and 4 nights, all with travel for this game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I went over that.
Exactly. And 2 satisfying wins, and that was satisfying, beating down a very red-hot Minnesota team.
Oh yeah. So I just needed to talk it out. I'm gonna be on the Canucks. Haven't bet it yet. I'm gonna bet it when this is over. I don't know if I've ever bet the Canucks in Game 3 of a California trip where they won the first 2 games. I would imagine that I haven't, in all honesty. But I'm gonna do it here. Take it away, Bobano. Canucks Kings.
Yep, I'm there as well. Vancouver minus 112 at Bet Rivers. They're a road warrior. They were a road warrior under Rick Tocchet last year. They had a very good road record, 5-1 this year already on the road. Lankinen, they've caught fire with him. There's no doubt. Tough spot for LA. 2 satisfying road wins in a row. 3rd game in 4 nights, all with significant travel, especially this last bit of travel. Minnesota back home following that road trip. I think it sets up well for Vancouver, who did win here in LA last year in one of the trips they made against the Kings. So, yeah, Vancouver minus 112.
Final spot on the NHL board, Minnesota Wild, San Jose Sharks, SAP Center in San Jose, California. So, look, this is the end of the 5-game homestand for San Jose, and I've made a lot of money off them. It's one of the only teams that I've handled appropriately. Now, in saying that, I did only have them in 2 of these 4 wins. I didn't have them against LA, which I wish I had of. I had them against Chicago when they won 3-2, and I had them against Columbus, when they won in overtime. And I was really confident in that Columbus look. Unfortunately, I watched the game, and Columbus dominated San Jose. Vanacek was absolutely spectacular. Yeah. But Columbus dominated that game. The Sharks, I was lucky, very, very lucky to win in overtime. It was a snipe job, but I was very, very fortunate. And now they're 3-1 through 4 games, a 5-game trip. They didn't deserve to win that game. They are ripe to be faded, but it's very expensive to fade the Wild, who are obviously angry. You have a very angry Wild team coming off the 5-1 loss to the Kings that snapped their 3-game winning streak. And do you want to pay the price for the Minnesota Wild? Because you'd have to take them on the puck line. And the problem is that Marc-Andre Fleury is in net. And now you could say, well, Mackenzie Blackwood's on the other side. That's fair. I would like to take the Wild on the puck line, but Fleury scares me. But maybe I should just bet it. This open up minus 255. It's just 257 right now. Maybe I should just go ahead and bet it. The Sharks are playing somewhat. Their power play looks good. There are certain things that look good. And, of course, Celebrini back. This total, and he didn't look very good in his first game back, but, we know what he's capable of. The under 6 open up minus 106, now minus 109. Take it away. Our final game on the NHL board, Bobano Wild Sharks.
I think I'm going to go with Minnesota team total here. I was going to say I have Minnesota team total and not making it official. I think I will make it official, though, because I like them after that loss to LA. Bouncing back strong here. Over 3.5 at minus. I'm going to just give you the right price on that, the best price. Because I do think they can get to 4 goals here. Minus 122 with Minnesota team total. Over 3.5. If you look at against San Jose, they've won 4 straight over the Sharks. And if you look at every recent Minnesota win against San Jose, well, the game in Minnesota last year, March, they only scored 3. But other than that, they scored 4 in Minnesota, 5 in San Jose last year, 6 in San Jose. So they've scored actually 11 goals in the last 2 visits they've made to the Shark Tank. They scored 6 in a 6-2 win, 5 in a 5-2 win. So that's why I think the team total can get there. And plus now I don't have to worry about Marc-Andre Fleury with this path. He can play however he wants to play. San Jose can do or not do what they want offensively. All I need to focus on is Minnesota scoring 4 against a below-average Mackenzie Blackwood, a San Jose team that's still giving up far too many shots on goal, as we saw against Columbus the other night. So to me, that's the best approach. I do like Minnesota in a bounce-back spot. They've owned San Jose, but the team total to me is the best path, over 3.5.
I'm going to take them on the puck line.
All right.
I had to sit with it for a little bit. There's just too much.
Hopefully 4-1, 4-2, not 3-1. Yeah.
There's just too much here. There's just too much. Wild coming off a 5-1 loss. And then we have, a Sharks team that is pretty happy right now. Feeling pretty good about themselves. And I love fading teams in the final game of a homestand. So a long homestand. Yeah. Not a 2 or 3 game that doesn't work with at all. Even a 4 is.
And often first game of a road trip, especially off a loss, when you start that road trip like it is for Minnesota, that's usually a good bet on spot.
I had to take some time with this one. I'm going to have so much money invested in the NHL card tonight. Makes me,
They
a
also
little
haven't
nervous.
lost 2 in a row yet this year, if I'm not mistaken. Minnesota. They have yet to drop. No, they did, actually. Winnipeg and Seattle at the beginning. But other than that, they've been good off a loss.
All right, that is our NHL card for Thursday, November 7th. Let's do a quick review of action here before we get into NFL. I'm on the Bruins -1 at -119. Bobano's on the Bruins first period over 1.5 at -120, and the full game over 5.5 at -135. Then we have here, we have Senators -1 for me at +114. Dan Bonner, by the way, took a little sprinkle on Senators to win in a shutout at 10-1 here. So I'm on Senators -1 at +114. Then Preds first period, I'll be betting after the show. Haven't bet it yet. Bobano on the over 6 at -115. Then we have, I don't know if I get to Montreal first period +0.5, honestly. I kind of like it, but I don't know if I get there. Under 6 for me in Buffalo, New York. I haven't bet that yet, but I'll be betting that after the show. Bobano on the Sabres money line and the draw, +175 and 390 respectively. Pittsburgh, Carolina under 6.5 for me. That's a slatsy look. I like it. I'm in. Bobano on the Lightning team total over 3.5. A rare game. I'm not betting. Then I'm on Utah -104. Bobano on the first period over 1.5. And Utah St. Louis in the full game over 5.5. Blackhawks Stars, no action. And then Bobano on the Jets money line. The Jets team total over 3.5. First period over 1.5. And the full game over 6.5. Then Bobano on the Canucks -112. I'm going to move on them as well. I just needed to talk it out. Bobano on Wild team total over 3.5 -122. I'm going to be on the Wild on the puck line here. Rods Wagner says bet on San Jose in home games on the money line after covering 2 of their last 3 games on the spread. San Jose record since the 2024 season 5-0. I mean, obviously the angle concerns me that you talk about, but I'm going to smash through it. So that is NHL for today. Let's move on to NFL here. We have our live stream tonight, Bengals Ravens. I can't wait for. This one pops off at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, and I have moved on the under 53.5 at -115, and I'm on the Bengals +6.5 at -112. It's not easy betting an under when you watch these two teams play and they put up 79 points. But some things have happened here, and it took me a few days. We capped this on Tuesday. It took me some time to sit with it. One, I enjoy very much when there's a huge, high-scoring divisional game to take the under in the next one, because now, let alone with the X's and O's, which we'll get into, but I just feel like the zigzag is in play. Also, both of these defenses are improved. Now, you could say, well, did the Ravens defense look good against the Browns? And no, but Marlon Humphrey wasn't in the lineup. Marlon Humphrey is back. They need him in this one. The Bengals have to win this football game. They have to. Exactly, Wager Detective. That's why I like it so much. Yeah, exactly. They went over last game. It went way, way, way over. And everybody saw that. And this line opened up so high. And it went up. And I was trying to time it right. I didn't time it. I didn't get the 54. I know some people did. We'll go over line history right now. And then it's not it's the Bengals defense has been much, much better. Now, I know 24 points were scored against the Raiders, but take that pick 6 off the board. That hurt them. And then take a look at allowing 3.7 yards per play and 217 total yards. Now, Hendrickson, Wilson, it's going to be difficult for these guys to keep hammering away. Fixes in since last year's Thursday meeting hit 54. 53.5 is telling me, give me the under and chase under 6.5 receptions. That's great. I love that Fixes in, because it looks like T. Higgins is not going to play at this point. I don't know if anybody has the last minute information on that, but what happens when T. Higgins isn't in the lineup is that you can double Chase, and it's not Yoshivas. These other guys, they just don't do anything. So it's the tight ends. It's Gesicki, who of course went off last week, who goes wild. So now Steve G, Bobano is only on Thursdays. So of course you see 107-9, but that if you want, we're not using his NFL PubHub numbers because those are just PubHub. And, Bobano's a volume better. So this is just on Thursday nights is what you're seeing. And last Thursday, he didn't move on the game. That was the first Thursday he hasn't moved on. So, my dude says, what makes you say this is a must-win game for the Bengals? If they lose, their season's over. And if they win, they are in position to possibly even I mean, I don't know about like the catching the Steelers, but they're in business. So I know cappers like Dennis Garcia who is wondering, do I take Joe Burrow for MVP at 16-1? He's asking himself. I mean, this is the most important game of the season for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think that this is a slow moving type spot. I really do. I think that you got it. Like, if the Bengals fight fire with fire, they're in trouble. They got to keep the Ravens off the field. DC Capper on the over 53. We're going to go over the line history here. Mally Mal saying Bengals stink. We also have the stacks play of the day. Johnson over 24.5 yards for our guy, Justin McKelvey, making moves here. And he'll be joining us at halftime tonight on our live stream.
Stacks, 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 stacks.
So let's go over line history. The public, I imagine, is going to be all over the over. They were earlier. We'll see if that has continued. The public wins too. We know that. This opened up at 6.5, went down to 5.5, and we're sitting here at 6. It's a pick 'em. Well, couple cents juiced more to the Bengals, but basically a pick 'em at 6. I moved on to 6.5, so I'm comfortable there. This total right now is dropping. There are 52.5s at some books. I'm looking at a 53 right now. So this is juiced to the under. Not as heavy as it was at 1 a.m, but this got up to 54. This was a 54 yesterday, and I just didn't time it quite right. Unfortunately. And then when we're going to get to the cash flow here, sorry, let me get to, oh God, sorry. Let me just give me 1 second here. Let's get to the cash flow. It is important here on a standalone Thursday nighter where we know we're going to have a ton of tickets. Right now, we have 89,261 tickets in, and it's 50-50 on the spread. 50-50. 50-50 tickets, 53% of the cash on the Bengals. And when we get to the total, 79% of tickets on the over and 84% of cash. I don't just like the under, Mally Mal. Oh, until halftime. Okay, Justin. I really like the under. And you're going to hear probably, I mean, I haven't looked, but you're probably going to hear throughout Twitter, of course, 4 out of 5 tickets are on the over. So I don't know how many people you're going to hear on the under. I don't know how that's going to work, but I really, really like the under tonight. Take it away. But that doesn't mean I'm betting more than a unit on it. It's just 1 unit. I have 1 unit on the under. I have 1 unit on the Bengals plus 6.5. I did get 53.5. I got it at bet 365 minus 115. But yes, and I love the situation from a gambling perspective with the 79 points in the first game. Take it away, Bobano. Bengals, Ravens, M&T Bank Stadium, Baltimore, Maryland.
So I'm with you on one. I'm against you on the other with this because I'm on the side and the toe. Obviously, I've been on these Baltimore overs. I've got to keep going with it at this point. I get it, though. It's a high number. It's a division rematch. It's adjustments you would expect on defense after a 41-38 game in the previous meeting. But the counter to that is last year, these teams played a very high-scoring first game in September in Cincinnati, 27-24. And the rematch in Baltimore actually had more points scored in the game, 34-20, 54 points last year in the rematch when the first game had 51. So, and to me, look, Baltimore's just been a dead nuts over team. 6 straight games for the Ravens have gone over. So I'm sticking with it. I think I've had the over in a Baltimore game on every recent Pub Hub appearance that I've been on the weekend on Sundays. So I am with, I'm against you on that one. I'm on over 52, minus 120 with the total, but I'm with you on Cincinnati. I like them. I like this situation. Remember, they had Baltimore dead to rights in the first meeting. They were up by 10, fourth quarter, and completely blew it in that game. And the Ravens ended up with the win. And plus Cincinnati had the ball, and I think they fumbled. And then Baltimore was able to go down and kick the game-winning field goal and win by 3. But they were competitive. Joe Burrow, when he's not a favorite of a touchdown or more, is 40-20 against the spread in his career. Unbelievable when he's been either a short favorite or an underdog. And look, as a dog this year, remember what they did at KC. They were 6.5-point dogs in this same range. They lost by 1. They probably should have won that game against Kansas City early in the season. Their season's on the line. There's not that same level of urgency for Baltimore. I think it's a competitive game. I got 6.5 early in the week for show purposes. I can alternate spread. I can get +7 at -136. I don't mind that. I'll pay up to get +7 in my pocket here. So Cincinnati +7 -136.
BJ's best bet also paid up for the 7. I got the 6.5 at -112. Like you did early. Didn't have to pay too much, a couple cents. And I'm telling you, like,
It's
I
funny.
can
I've got +6.5. That's my bet. But for show purposes, I'll pay up.
Yeah,
to get
I
+7.
get it.
Yep.
I get it. I get it here. Wine time on the under 53. Now look, these are two high-powered offenses. Now, not quite the same when the Bengals don't have T. Higgins. This game could soar over, and I could be wrong. But I really like the under.
Normally, I'm with you on the division angle of rematch after a high-scoring game. It goes low the next time. And then I was thinking that too, and I went back and I made sure I looked how did it go last year. And the second meeting was actually higher scoring than the first meeting with these two teams. So we'll see
But
tonight.
we didn't question both teams' defenses like we have this year. So now with all the onus on defensive improvements, the Bengals' defensive numbers have gone way, way better over the last little while here than they had been. And then another part that I kind of like, which is a surprise, is both third down defenses are vulnerable. And I think there's going to be long drives. There are times when I'll say that and I'll be all over the over. But I think it's imperative to keep the opposition off the field, and especially for the Bengals. And the fact that the Ravens are 30th in third down defense and their pass defense is so poor, but they're 32nd, allowing 280. They're last in the league, allowing 280.9 yards per game. But you have to double Jamar Chase, and you have Marlon Humphrey back, which means you're going to get a ton of action from tight ends. And I can understand Gesicki looks, even though he had a monster week last week, which I never go back to believing in. But I just think there's going to be a lot of first downs. I think there's going to be a lot of first downs and a lot of clock moving, and I can't wait. I can't wait for this one. Join us tonight for our live stream. I'm pumped up. We have Bengals +7 at -136 for Bobano. The over 52 for Bobano. I'm on the under 53.5 at -115, and I'm on the Bengals +6.5. That is NFL for us. Let's move on to college football. College football. We got two games in college football before we have our first foray into college basketball. Let's roll here. By the way, Justin McKelvey, Burrow interception, Jackson interception parlay at +245 as well. Let's roll. We have our first game, 8 p.m. Eastern. App State Mountaineers 4-4, 2-3 in the Sun Belt at the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers 4-4, 1-3 in the Sun Belt. Brewer Brooks Stadium in Conway, South Carolina. 69 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 1 mile per hour winds. You're going to get the same thing in the Greenville, North Carolina game with the Pirates Owls. Just perfect weather, no wind, and no concerns. Let's get into the line history, set up the X's and O's, and then we'll have Bobano roll and run wild with these two spots here. So there we go. Okay, so first off, for the spread, we have App State -1.5 at -107. They opened up +1. So they've gone from dog to favorite, from +1 to -1.5. We'll probably get a better idea about that if we go to the money line. So let's do that. On the money line, we have App State opening up at -103, now at -116. So 13 cents of movement towards App State. So it is dog to favorite, but maybe not quite as big as you could make it. When you hear that, it's maybe not quite as big of a move. The total is at 62.5. Opened up at 63. We've dropped a half point to 62.5. We get to the cash flow on the spread, and we should look at all markets because we've discussed them. On the spread, we have 46% of tickets and 55% of cash on App State. On the money line, though, 16% of the tickets and 43% of the cash. So big bets have been placed on App State on the money line. And then on the total, 57% of tickets on the over, 57% of tickets on the over, and 65% of cash on that over. When we take a look at the rest situation and what happened last week for these two squads, App State on a 2-game winning streak. Now, they both happen at home. They haven't looked good on the road this year, but they beat Georgia State 33-26 at home. They follow that up by beating ODU 28-20 at home. Both teams are on a short week, and both teams are traveling because Coastal Carolina is coming back from their game against Troy, and App State is heading towards Coastal Carolina after 2 home starts. Coastal Carolina's lost 3 straight, ugly ones. They are allowing at least 34 points a game to James Madison, the Raging Cajuns, and Troy. So they don't look very good right now. 3 straight losses. Take it away for us, Bobano. Mountaineers, Chanticleers, Thursday night action.
Yeah, I got a small Coastal bet in pocket. I'm not making that official. They haven't looked great. That loss to Troy is a head scratcher coming out of a bye week, and that's how you play against a Troy team that's way down this year. Vasco didn't look good. What about the defense getting shredded? How do you give up 342 rushing yards? Terrible stuff from this Coastal defense. But there's no way I'm taking App. If you made me choose, I'd be on Coastal here. And I have a small Coastal bet, but App has been a fade for me all year. Don't be fooled by the win against Old Dominion. Old Dominion's a good team. That's actually, looks like it's a decent win, right? 28-20. -3 they were in turnovers, Old Dominion. They moved the ball all game against App State. They turned it over constantly. +3 turnover margin for App State. Total yards in that game was what? They got, 498 total yards, Old Dominion, compared to just under 400 for App State. Old Dominion probably should have won that football game. If they don't turn it over and they don't miss field goals, they probably win instead of lose 28-20. So that's a bit of a phony win, if you ask me, for App State. And they've been terrible on the road, just the one road win. But they were so inept against a bad Troy team last week, Coastal, that it scared me off Coastal. I thought I was going to love Coastal in this spot. I don't even love them enough to make them official. So lean Coastal, pass.
Pass here. I mean, I could take the Mountaineers on the road, but thinking about all the money I've invested in the NHL card, I don't find that appealing here. So I can understand the pass here. Did you have a feel on this total? It's just kind of sticking around that 62.5, even though it looks like the public, some sharp cash on the over.
Neither team plays fast. I don't like either defense at all, but neither team plays fast. Although, that being said, Coastal's gone over 4 of the last 5, but neither team plays fast. I lean over. I don't love it, though.
Let's roll on to the next spot on the board. Florida Atlantic Owls, 0-4 in the American. They've not looked good. 2-6 overall. East Carolina Pirates, 4-4, 2-2 in the American. We're in Greenville, North Carolina. 68 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 2 miles per hour. This total, another high one, a little lower than the other one at 59, but this one opened up at 55.5. So we've climbed all the way up. 259 is juiced to the under, but big 3.5 point move towards the over. On the point spread right now, we have Florida Atlantic +8 at -107. They open up +7.5. It did go down to 7 for a little bit, but it's come back to 8. You could have got it this morning at 7. When it moved from 7, it moved towards East Carolina. It moved to 8.5. So that was a 1.5 point move. That's a big move. It's come back a half point. We're sitting at 8 right now. From a cash flow standpoint, we have 33% of the tickets and 32% of the cash on Florida Atlantic. You have 60% of tickets and 78% of cash on the over, and we've seen it climb. Let's get to the X's and O's here. The Florida Atlantic loss at home to UCF was atrocious.
With a backup quarterback, Bryce Archie, who stunk before that game, I might add.
It was, you're up 14-7 at halftime, feeling good about yourselves. And then you come out and lose the game 44-21. I mean, it was just absolutely atrocious. Now, both teams, there was 1,000 yards of offense combined, but UCF 1.5 point favorites. That one hurt. That one really, it was ugly and it hurt. On the other side, East Carolina is coming in off their bye week. Last we saw them snap their 2-game losing streak with a 56-34 win at home against Temple. Their defense is bad, but they can put points up. Take it away for us here. Owls, Pirates in Greenville.
So I was looking to see last week with East Carolina, would we see a pulse from them after the coaching change? Remember, they fired Mike Houston a couple weeks ago, an in-season coaching change. And so now we got the interim coach, and he coached his first game in the interim role last week against Temple. Now, I know Temple's not good, but Temple had beaten Utah State. They'd beaten Tulsa. They were competitive in losses to UConn as well. They were playing better, Temple, in recent games. And East Carolina, coming out of the coaching change, They steamrolled Temple last week, 56-34. They also made a quarterback change, East Carolina. Jake Garcia and Caton Hauser, the Michigan State transfer, both got starts. They've committed now to Caton Hauser, and he played very well last week in that game against the Temple. Did have a couple interceptions, but 5 touchdown passes in that game as well. Moved the football extremely well. This Florida Atlantic defense, combination of, well, a few injuries, but more so they're just not good. They have collapsed Florida Atlantic on the defensive side of the football in recent weeks. They've been terrible. They haven't stopped anybody. 44 to a backup quarterback in South Florida last week, 38 to UTSA, 41 to North Texas. All 3 games go over the total. I like the life I saw at East Carolina last week. You're looking for that, a team that's had a disappointing season like ECU, but when a coaching change happens, how do the kids respond? Do you play hard? Do you put your best? Their defense is still pretty bad. East Carolina, they did give up 34 to Temple, but they can move the football. So there's a couple bets I like. I like East Carolina team total over 31.5, minus 126 at Pinnacle. We'll lock that in, team total for the Pirates. And I like this full game over, which, look, admittedly, everyone seems to like this, and I totally get it. East Carolina is way better on offense than defense, and Florida Atlantic has completely fallen apart on defense in recent weeks. I actually got 56 on this total early in the week, but I'm still going to take it at the bad number. I think it can fly over this total. I think we get into the 60s with the way these two defenses are playing right now. So ECU team total over, and I will tack on over 58 minus 108 at Bet Rivers for the full game over.
58 at minus 108. What was the 31.5 at what juice?
Minus 126.
All right, locked and loaded for Bobano. Owls, Pirates over 58 at minus 108. Again, he bet it at 56. This is just for record-keeping purposes here.
I like the 58, though, because 31-28 common final scores hits the over. But I think East Carolina, the only reason I actually laid 7 with East Carolina. Again, better number earlier in the week. Now that it's at 8, this is still a pretty bad Pirates defense. So for the show now, with this 7 not being available anymore, I definitely much prefer the team total. I think East Carolina gets 35 plus with what I've seen out of Florida Atlantic on defense, and the fact Caton Hauser has really given East Carolina a jolt on offense at quarterback.
You are locked and loaded, my friend. Locked and loaded. So a double up spot here for Bobano. East Carolina team total over 31.5 and the over 58. It is now time for us to open up our college basketball accounts here on Betting with the Bag. Now, I picked 10 games and sent them to Bobano. So if he wants to add anything, he can. But I sent 10 games.
We'll go through the 10 games, and if I've got bets I really like from the other games, I'll just mention them rapid fire at the end.
Let's do it. We start 7 p.m. Eastern with the Marquette Challenge in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Stony Brook Seawolves 0-1 on the year at the Central Michigan Chippewas 1-0 playing their first game at home. Shout out to our guy Saturated in the house. Great to see you, Saturated. And Stony Brook opened with a loss at Marquette. You know, that's how they got started. It was pretty ugly. Pfizer Forum in front of 15,000. Marquette shot 58.8% from the field, only turned the ball over 7 times and beat up Stony Brook. Marquette was 22.5-point favorites, and they won by 40. So a wake-up call of sorts for the Seawolves. On the other hand, Central Michigan opened up at South Alabama Jaguars and took them out. Took them out 74-70, despite turning the ball over 17 times and shooting just 29% from 3 as 6.5-point dogs. They were up 15 points at halftime. Southern Alabama tried to make a comeback, and it wasn't enough. Let's get into the line history here and the cash flow for our first college basketball game of the season for us here on Betting with the Bag. Of course, we'll be hammering it throughout. But let's get into this here. We have this game popping off at 7. We have Stony Brook right now as 5.5-point dogs, plus 5.5 at minus 105. They opened at 4.5, and this went down to 4 initially. So this went down to 4 last night, and then this morning it started sticking up toward, moving towards the chips. When we get to the total here in this, we have it sitting at 140. It is slightly juiced to the over. It opened up at 140. It got up to 141 for a cup of coffee, and it's come back to 140. So we've had no movement. And then when we get to the cash flow, again, I'll have this all set up here so I can move quicker as we go through these games. I don't have it set up right now, and I apologize, but let me move over quickly to this one. 88% of the tickets and 89% of the cash on the chips. On the total, 98% of tickets, 98% cash on the over. Take it away for us, Bobano, because situationally, I like the Seawolves after a wake-up call from Marquette. And I can understand the betting public seeing them lose by 40 and think they're trash, and maybe they are, and you can tell us that. But the Chips coming off a surprising victory in their first game, maybe feeling good about themselves. Situationally, I like the Seawolves, but I do need to hear some X's and O's back that up. So take it away. The floor is yours. Seawolves, Chips.
Well, and Marquette's very good. You have to also factor that in. And they should have a very good team again, and they just got absolutely ambushed. And I like Marquette. I laid the points with Marquette the other night, and it was a great game. Cam Jones especially, 32 points for Marquette in that victory. Stony Brook, remember, had issues at times last year at the defensive end, and they're probably going to have some issues. I was impressed, though, with Central Michigan. I think South Alabama this year, coming into the year, could be a solid team in their conference, the Sun Belt. And to go on the road, first game of the year, win outright as an underdog, I was very impressed with the Chippewas, I got to admit. Impressed enough that, look, I personally think I need to see more from Stony Brook before I'm ready to back them on the road here, even in a bounce-back spot. It's going to be a pace war, this game. Make no mistake about it. You've got Central Michigan that plays, actually Central Michigan does play slow as well. Stony Brook's mid-range, so there shouldn't be actually a ton of pace here in this game. Maybe we lean under the total a little bit, 140. Stony Brook's probably going to want to, tighten things up a little bit defensively. I was really impressed with Central Michigan. I know only one game, but to go on the road, beat a solid South Alabama team like they did, I liked it. I was impressed. Not a game I'm involved in, but I'd honestly lean to the favorite here. Central Michigan, I was impressed with that win. And Stony Brook, to me, too many questions on defense to back him, even in a bounce-back spot.
I hear that. I wonder if the Chips feel maybe a little too good about themselves. I love the situation for the Seawolves.
It is. It's a good situation. They're off a blowout loss. Central Michigan on the road with a great win. Now they're laying points. I agree with that part of it, but I don't love the idea of fading Central. I was really impressed with their performance the other night.
If I think the Chips are somewhat vulnerable in this spot psychologically, I wonder if it would be prudent to back the Wolves in the first half.
Potentially.
Just the first half. Okay, I'm going to need time to sit with that, but I'm going to be on Stony Brook tonight. I'm not going to double up. I just got to figure out exactly how to bet it at this point. So, but no double up. Let me put that in capitals. Sometimes you start making bets and it feels good. You get excited. And then, so I'm not doubling up there. All right, let's move on to our next spot on the board. And Jermaine here liking the under in that spot. Robert Franklin on Central Michigan here. Let's roll on. Wow, Gustafson projected for the Wild. You can tell that the Wild maybe care about this game.
I like hearing that. Wow. Well, now it makes your puck line. It doesn't matter to me because I'm only on the team total.
But I haven't bet it yet. But the puck
No.
line generally doesn't move that much. No. The money line will.
Because the puck line bet, you need Minnesota to be good defensively and get good goaltending.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, that's going to help. All right, we move on. 7 p.m. Eastern with the Charleston Southern Buccaneers losing their first game at North Florida Ospreys, or in UNF Arena in Jacksonville, Florida. Let's set this one up. We will start with the line history here for this one. This total is at 147.5. It opened up at 148.5, dropped all the way down to 146.5. It's come back a point. We still have a 1-point move towards the under. From a spread perspective here, we have the Osprey as 8-point favorites. They open up as 7-point favorites. We have a 1-point move towards them. Let's get the cash flow up here for this one. We have 88% of the tickets and 87% of the cash on the over. And on the spread, we have 83% of the tickets on North Florida and 52% of the cash. And this is, moving towards them. Robert Franklin on North Florida here. Their first game of the year was a thing of beauty. They go into South Carolina.
I'll say
they defeat them 74-71.
Good South Carolina team too, especially last year, and they're expected to be pretty good this year. Yeah.
19.5-point dogs, and they take care of business. So a spectacular start here, and now they're at home. I mean, there's some similarities to what we just saw in the first game we capped, because Charleston Southern comes off playing against a very tough Clemson team at home. They were 22.5-point dogs, and they lose by 27. So both had tough opponents, and one was much better than the other. Also, it was Charleston Southern's turnovers. They turned the ball over 18 times compared to Clemson just 7, because Charleston Southern shot 44% from 3. Now, Clemson shot 52.4, but it wasn't the shooting that hurt Charleston Southern. Justin McKelvey on Charleston Southern +8 in his pocket. Let's hear from our guy, Bobano. Buccaneers, Osprey, in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah, it's a pass for me. I'm really impressed with North Florida. That's a good South Carolina team. Are you kidding me? On the road, 19-point dogs, and you beat them outright? No, I was very impressed. Held South Carolina to 31% from 3-point range. You know what really hurt South Carolina, though? 56% from the free throw line. I mean, that's just not good enough, and that costs you the game. You end up losing by 3, and you miss your free throws. You're asking for trouble. But again, now you're laying a premium here, 8.5. Charleston Southern, look, they got whipped by North Florida last year, 81-70 at Charleston Southern. North Florida was a 3-point dog, won by 11. Clearly, there's a matchups advantages here for North Florida. Very impressed with the way they played. I definitely lean North Florida, but from a buy low standpoint, this spot ain't it for North Florida. So pass for me.
A pass here for Bobano. What did you make of the Buccaneers shooting so well and still losing so badly? Is turnover something that they can fix here? I mean, I found the Seawolves.
There's another team that stunk at the free throw line, 48%. If I'm a coach of a college basketball team, I'm making these guys get in the gym and practice free throws for 3 hours straight until they hit at least 70% of them. When I see that. That's unacceptable. I don't care. There's going to be players that aren't good shooting free throws, some of them. I know that. But as a team to shoot 48% from the free throw line, like Charleston Southern did against Clemson, that's embarrassing. That's not good enough. You got to be better than that.
Speaking of embarrassing, let's roll into our next game here. Next game up for Southern Miss Golden Eagles at the UAB Blazers. We're at Bartow Arena in Birmingham, Alabama. In the UAB Blazers loss to Vermont Catamounts, they went 0 for 10 from 3.
Yeah.
While Vermont went 10 of 27. So a 30-point swing from 3 for the Catamounts. Pretty ugly performance here from the Blazers. They came in as 5.5-point favorites, and it was astonishing. So that is the Blazers, your favorite here in this one. Let's go in through the line history. Southern Miss coming off a 77-68 win at home over Bowling Green. They were 4.5-point favorites. They were up by 10 at the half. They looked good in that basketball game and took care of business. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have Southern Miss here plus 13.5. They opened up a plus 14, so there's been a half-point move. This did go down to 13 for a little bit. There's been a half-point move. Then on the total, we have Southern Miss at 152.5. This opened up at 150.5, so we've had a 2-point move towards the over. Robert Franklin on this over. And then cash-wise, 48% of the tickets and 66% of the cash is on Southern Miss. On the total, we have 91% of tickets, 91% of cash, and it's moving towards the over. Take it away for us here, the Blazers in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, finally a game I like. I'm on the side end. I laid it with UAB. I think it's a great bounce-back spot for them at home off a loss that's not going to sit well with them. And they're a better offensive team than they showed in that game. They're supposed to be. I mean, Andy Kennedy, they've always played a good pace, good tempo, have shooters all across the floor. And for some reason, they just, like you mentioned it, they couldn't make anything from 3-point range. I think that probably changes here against Southern Miss. Southern Miss had a nice win in their opener against Bowling Green, but that was at home. Now they're going to end up going on the road against a UAB team looking to bounce back. And I thought highly of UAB. UAB is expected to contend in the American Athletic Conference this year. Got a pretty solid team. They're better, I think, offensively than what we saw in the last game. I think it'll show here. So I'm on UAB minus 13.5, minus 112. And I like the over as well here in this game. I think Southern Miss is top 100. Southern Miss top 150, I should say, in pace. UAB plays fast as well. Should see a good pace here on both sides. UAB, I think, shooting correction is going to take place tonight. I think they'll have a much better offensive night here than they did against Vermont. Vermont can be a very stodgy team, too, as far as when they get that half-court defense going under John Becker. It's very difficult. And credit to them for having a good defensive game. I think UAB is a better offensive team than they showed. So I'm laying the points with UAB. I'm also on over 152, minus 126.
Absolutely. We're rolling in the live stream tonight. Saturday, we'd love to have you join us. Minus 13.5, minus 112. And what was the over at?
152, minus 126.
152, minus 126. Rod Zwacky loving the first half over. This just makes perfect sense to me that UAB bounces back in a huge, huge way. I want to be involved in it. I've written down first half and full game. I feel a little more comfortable with the double up here. I'll see if I get to the window with it. Now, my college basketball units are 66% of my NFL and NHL units, so it's, keep that in mind. Now, that can change if there's success, but we're early in the year. Yeah. I want to join you here on the Blazers. Bobano on the Blazers and the over. By the way, in a game that we don't have set up, I'll bring it up. Thank you, Jose. I'll bring it up for the next game. But let's go into this one, because this one, Detroit Mercy at Loyola Chicago, Gentile Arena in Chicago, Illinois. I deep dove on this game for too long. And the first half wasn't available. That's what I wanted. But I was going to move on Loyola Chicago, and it was moving quickly. It went from 19.5 to 20.5. I could have got to 20.5. I woke up, it was at 23. And I had some trepidation at 20.5. And I expect this Loyola Chicago team to be better than we saw last year. And they were good last year, 23-10, co-regular season champion. Now they flamed out, obviously in the quarters of the regionals, and then they flamed out in the first round of the NIT. But they have size. They have 5 key players returning. So they're missing 3 of their top 4 scorers from last year. Or you could say, well, they have 5 of their 8 top scorers returning, and depending on how you look at it, obviously. And they have size. And I thought, what an opportunity to back them here after barely getting past Chicago State 79-72, especially with Detroit Mercy coming off playing, college, playing the Cleary University Cougars and beating them 91-52. But I kept coming back thinking, is this the type of team that you want to expect to win by margin, a serious margin? And I couldn't and didn't bet it. And I wanted to, and then, you wake up and it's 23.5 and you're like, well, I guess I should have bet it. But there was something that was making me uncomfortable the whole time, and now it's gone, the opportunity. This total's at 142. It's juiced to the under. Open up at 144.5. We think that Loyola Chicago will offer us value on unders when they care about playing with defensive intensity, which we expect Valentine's team to do here. From a spread standpoint, we have a 24.5 now. So obviously I should have moved on Loyola Chicago. When the first half wasn't available, I kept trying to get it. It wasn't available. And when it was available, it was a 14.5, which obviously if it was a 20.5 full game, at least you get 11.5. So just mistakes by me here, obviously waiting. 98% of tickets, 98% cash on Detroit Mercy. And then 82% of the tickets and 82% of the cash on Detroit Mercy, and this line continually to flying towards Loyola Chicago. I guess that's upsetting here that I didn't move on it when I could have, but I had trepidation. Let's see what Bobano thinks of this spot. Take it away, Detroit Mercy, Loyola Chicago.
At this number now, with all I have to be on Detroit now at this number. I mean, this has just gotten carried away. I mean, I understand 19.5, but now 25. is what I'm seeing in some spots. Detroit was a covering machine down the stretch last year as well. For as bad as things started for them, they were competitive. They lost a lot of games, of course, but we're talking losing by 4, by 5, by 14, by 19, by 14, by 12, by 13. There was a lot of losses in the teens down the stretch for Detroit, and this has just gotten carried away as far as I'm concerned. And I know Loyola Chicago is going to be very good again this year. Make no mistake about it. But I didn't love the way they played in that first game against Charleston, or against Chicago State, rather, 79-72. It was a rivalry game, though, and I took Chicago State in that game. Just that's too many points for Loyola Chicago, too. Keep this in mind. They're not exactly a fast-paced team. They like playing in the half court. It's not always conducive to laying 24, 25 points. Detroit is sketchy defensively, but again, I don't think we're going to get brisk tempo by any stretch of the imagination. Loyola Chicago is not the kind of team that I trust in this kind of point spread range. We saw Detroit consistently. Now, they do have a game under their belt. This is Detroit's first game. Maybe that's a little bit of an advantage for the Ramblers here. There's just too many points now at this point that I'm taking. Maybe at the opener, I'm not as bullish, but now that it's moved 5, I'm interested. So Detroit plus 25, minus 110.
Plus 25, minus 110 for Bobano. I'm going to have to stay off the spot. Very quickly, Bobano, and I know we got to rush here, but we have the taint play of the day. It comes in the game that we haven't spoken about, Omaha Mavericks Stetson Hatters. So I'm just going to touch on this very quickly. Omaha has played a game, against a Div 3 Mid-American Christian of Angels, and they only won 85-69. Now, they didn't really try in the second half. They were up a lot. So that's Omaha. Stetson also comes in off of, playing against the new college Mighty Banyans. We're not talking about any kind of Div 1 opponents here. But let's talk about this very, very quickly and see if Bobano likes the taint play of the day. Stetson has gone here from a 4 opener, got up to 5.5 quickly, and it's come back to 4.5. Now it's heavily juiced. It's minus 120, so it's basically a 5. And from a cash flow perspective in this one, we have 85% of the tickets and 83% of the cash on Stetson. So it's a public spot. But Stetson minus 4.5 is the taint play of the day. Shout out to Matty Ice. Taint play of the day, Stetson minus 4.5. What do you think of this spot, Bobano, Stetson Hatters?
Yeah, well, as far as the Nebraska Omaha is concerned, they haven't played a game yet. Neither of these teams have, actually. It's the opener for both of these teams, so there's a little bit of, what are we going to see?
They played against terrible, weak Div 3 opponents.
Div 3 opponents, okay. Yeah, that's right. That's why sometimes on the schedule they don't put those games up. You're right. That's what it was. But so there's a little bit of an unknown here. What I will say is that looking at these teams as far as statistically coming into the year, neither of them is any good defensively. We're talking to like 300s as far as defensive efficiency this season. They're expected to be. Nebraska Omaha actually has a little bit of a better offensive number. So I'm not rushing to lay points with Stetson. I hope for Matty that he cashes. I don't want Nebraska Omaha either. These are two pretty bad defenses. I actually could maybe get there with an over in this game, 148.5, 149. Stetson does not play fast. That's the one concern. If I'm going to bet a total like this, I prefer both teams want to run and both teams play fast. Omaha does. Stetson, though, does slow things down. So I do lean a little bit to the over. Nothing, though, that was bettable for me.
Let's roll on. Shout out to Matty Iso for sharing that with us. Next up, we have Jacksonville Dolphins, 1-0 to start the year. Home victory at the number 21 ranked Florida Gators. We're in Gainesville, Florida for this one. Now, we cannot count Jacksonville's win. It was against Trinity Baptist Eagles, and they didn't really dominate the game. Now, I know they're just kind of, just going through plays and setting things up against the real opponent, and they know they have one right here in the Florida Gators, who opened up their season with a 98-83 win over South Florida as 10.5-point favorites. They covered. They were down 1 at halftime, so it took them a little while to get rolling, but the Gators did get rolling. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have Florida minus 23.5. They opened up at minus 20. So a 3.5 point move towards Florida. And on the total here, we have a 151.5 juice to the over. This opened up at 153. It dropped a 1.5 down. And then when we get to the cash flow for our lone ranked team playing tonight, 6% of the tickets are on Florida, but 50% of the cash. So clear, sharp action on the Gators at this number. And 95% of tickets, 95% cash on the over. Take it away, Bobano, Jacksonville, Florida.
This is one where I did already bet Florida, and I like the over. I'm going to make the over definitely an official play because that one hasn't moved too much as of right now. But the Florida side may have moved enough where I don't want to make it official at the current number because I got in on it at better than what we're seeing right now, which is 24.5. I bet it at 20, and look at the jump now, 4 points more. But I think it's a good look. It concerns me that Jacksonville gave up 41% from the field to Trinity Baptist. And believe it or not, letting a team like that score in the 60s against you is not very good. And Florida can flat out score, and their backcourt's outstanding. And I think they could do some serious damage here against this Jacksonville D when you're talking Walter Clayton and Will Richard. Those are two outstanding guards that Florida has this year. I think definitely they could do some serious damage. So Justin's on the board with Florida. I am too. I bet Florida. I like Florida. Do I want to give it out at the current number here? I'm going to shop around, see if I can get something better. I do like the over. Florida plays fast. Ever since Todd Golden came here as the head coach from San Francisco with the Dons, he's bringing that up-tempo basketball to Florida. They shouldn't have any problem scoring against Jacksonville. But I am a little concerned about the Florida Gators defensively a little bit. That was a brand new South Florida team coming off and by the way, just a horrible tragedy with the passing of Amir Abdur Rahim, just brutal. Heart goes out to that South Florida program. So sad. This was a coaching star in the making in college basketball. Look at the year they had, South Florida last year. He did a great job at Kennesaw State, took him to the NCAA tournament before that. It was a tough spot for South Florida, but the kids played hard that night. Make no mistake about it. Just a gut-wrenching situation. But what concerns me for Florida from that game is their defense against a team with a lot of new faces, a lot of new pieces on offense, and they struggled at times, Florida, to guard them and struggled to contain them. So this could be a situation here where Jacksonville is able to do enough, which puts me on the over here, maybe able to do enough offensively to send this game up and over the total here after South Florida scored 83 points and shot 44% from the field and 48% from 3-point range against Florida. So I like this over. I do like Florida, but I think at the current numbers, I definitely prefer the over. So over 151 minus 112. I bet Rivers for the over. You know what? I'll take Florida as well because I see a couple 23.5s. Pinnacle is minus 23.5, minus 118. At that price and number, I will tack on the Gators as well.
Locked and loaded. Rodzwacki on the other side for first half action. Jacksonville plus 14.5 first half. Bobano on Florida minus 23.5. Please keep in mind that he got the 20. And Bobano on the over 151 alongside Robert Franklin here. Let's move on to our next spot on the board. Milwaukee Panthers at the Northern Iowa Panthers. It's a Panther battle in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Both teams start out 1-0 in different ways. Of course, Milwaukee played not a Div 1 school, defeating the Lakeland Muskies. Old Muskies, 118-62. Put up 88 points in the second half. So Northern Iowa, they come off a similar situation against not a Div 1 team. So, and they won 96-54. So both teams completely dominating very weak opponents to get their season started. Let's get into the line history here for this one. From a total scenario, we have a 155. It's juiced to the over. Open up at 154, 1 point move towards the over. And then on the point spread, we have Milwaukee as 6.5 point dogs. They opened up as 5.5 point dogs. So it's a 1 point move towards Northern Iowa. And when we see the cash flow for it, we have, oh, sorry, this blew past it, I guess. We have 96% of the tickets, 97% of cash on the over, and we have no information on the spread, unfortunately. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Milwaukee, Northern Iowa.
Yeah, I'm on the over here. Nothing on the side. I think it's two teams I think are very offensively capable, and I think might be a little bit defensively challenged going into this game. Certainly, that's what it kind of looks like to me when you look at the numbers. Especially Milwaukee. I have worries about them at the defensive end. They play fast as well, the Milwaukee Panthers. Northern Iowa, not so much, but they always run a very efficient, balanced, inside-out offense. They always have some interior scoring. They always can shoot the three ball, and it looks like more of the same here coming into this season. So, and I think we got enough offense to see this game go over the total. And again, Milwaukee will be pushing pace throughout. So that's what I'm on here. Milwaukee, Northern Iowa, over 155, minus 120.
Over 155 minus 120 for the Battle of the Panthers. We roll on. We head to Colorado Springs, to Clune Arena here, home of the Air Force Falcons, facing the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Let's set this one up here. We have both teams. Now, Air Force got their season started against North Alabama, losing 73-57 at home. They shot 39.1 from the field, 34.6 from three. North Alabama shot 51.7 from three and only turned the ball over 6 times. North Alabama was up 43-22 at halftime, and Air Force were 5.5-point favorites. So an absolutely shocking first game for the Air Force Falcons. Now, do we expect a bounce back spot? That is the question. Jacksonville State went up against, Div 3 opponent, LaGrange Panthers. So they were up 55-20 immediately, and they won 112-48. So very weak opponent. So we have two teams in very different situations. Jacksonville State, beating up not even a cupcake. Beating up a, not a Div 1 team. And then we have Air Force Falcons that got slapped in the mouth and looked terrible. These Falcons are favorites here. And they opened up at -1.5. They're now at -2. When this line came out at -1.5, it flipped. I guess people had that Falcons game in their mind, the North Alabama Falcons game in their head, because this became +1. It didn't last +1 for long, and we're back with a half-point move towards Air Force. When we get to the total here on this one, again, this one starting off at 9 p.m., we have 132.5. This has dropped from 135.5. So we've had a big move, a 3-point move towards the under. And then when we get to the cash flow for this one, we have 51% of tickets and 71% of the cash on the Falcons, and on the total 92 and 93 on the over, and yet it drops 3 points. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Gamecocks, Falcons in Colorado Springs.
This is interesting because Air Force, I think, could absolutely suck defensively this year. Okay, they could really be bad. And I took North Alabama plus the points against them. I think they're worth fading again at every reasonable opportunity. I really think they're in tough this year. They were 9-22 last year. They were abysmal defensively against North Alabama. I think they're going to struggle offensively to score points as well. The fact that at home you're only scoring 57 points against North Alabama is not exactly what you want to see. I think Jacksonville State, meanwhile, they're in a Conference USA. A lot of their returning production is back. They've got multiple players. 4 of their top 6 scorers are back from last year. Jacksonville State, to me, I'm a little surprised Air Force is favored. What? Because they're at home? We just saw North Alabama go in there and blast them. I think there's real problems for this Falcons team. I'm comfortable taking Jacksonville State here as a road underdog. And once again, for the second game in a row, fading Air Force, which doesn't look very good in my opinion so far. So I'm taking Jacksonville State here, Jimmy, +2, -110.
So you had no +2, -1. You have no fear of this Falcons team getting kicked in the mouth and regrouping here, or you just think this is a bad basketball team that the market doesn't understand?
Really, really bad. And I lean under just from a pace standpoint. Like you mentioned how total's been bet down. These are 2 of the absolute slowest pace teams in the entire country when you look at tempo rankings. And by the way, evanmaya.com BartTorvik.com. People in the chat, I know a couple asking statistics sites for college basketball. Those are two go-tos. They're even better than KenPom. KenPom is not the best. People talk about KenPom all the time. BartTorvik.com is better than KenPom. And Evan Maya, EvanMiya.com is better than KenPom too for statistical analysis in college basketball. But Jacksonville State 355th in tempo and Air Force 361 in tempo. So these are snail-paced teams, and that's probably a big reason why this game is getting an under push.
Great stuff. Locked in here, and I guess you'll have taken me off of Air Force at this point. So
there
again,
is that element that, it's the service academy. Kids got slapped the first game. Maybe there's a response tonight. I just don't know if they're good enough. That's the problem. And I think Jacksonville State's pretty solid and a lot of experience back on this JSU team as well.
There'll definitely be a response from an academy. Definitely. The question is, you believe that it won't be enough?
Yep.
So yeah, no, it's a fascinating spot here. Okay, we have now 3 games left on the card here in college basketball, and then we get into NBA, but we bid our guy Bobano adieu. Let's talk about the next one. We head to Moraga, California, home of the St. Mary's Gales. We have Chattanooga Mocs at St. Mary's here. Chattanooga got their season off to a 77-51 loss at USC. Now, we're capping the USC game next, I believe. The Mocs lost by 26. And they were 15.5-point dogs. They were down 10 in the first half, and nothing changed. They also shot horrifically, 27.8 from the field and 17.6% from 3. I mean, you just have no chance here. So can we see or expect a better shooting performance against another tough competition? St. Mary's opened up their season with a 76-69 win over Towson. They were 11.5-point favorites. They didn't cover. They shot just 25% from 3, but they were in control of this game throughout, though, up 9 at halftime. The score probably flatters Towson a little bit. Let's get into the line history here for Gales Mocs. We have the total. Let's start there. The total is at 138, juice to the under. This opened up at 140.5, and it climbed all the way up to 141.5 before it started dropping. So we'll start there. Then on the spread, we have St. Mary's 15.5-point favorites. It is juice to them. This opened up at 13. It's now at 15.5 or 16 at some books. And when we get to the cash flow, you have 98% of the tickets and 97% of cash on the over. And we have 50% of the tickets and 76% of cash on Chattanooga. Some big bets placed on Chattanooga, but this line continues to move towards St. Mary's. Take it away for us here, Bobano. St. Mary's at home against Chattanooga.
Chattanooga has some key injuries, and I am very tempted, though, still to take Chattanooga because the USC team that beat the hell out of them the other night might be pretty good. And you know how big a fan I am of Eric Musselman. He's a great coach. What he did at Nevada, what he did at Arkansas, what he's ultimately going to do at USC. You just know USC is going to be in the NCAA tournament. That's all he does. He gets his team to improve and get into the NCAA tournament. But I faded St. Mary's in the first game with Towson, and Towson got the money, covered the number in defeat. St. Mary's won, but only 76-69 as 11-point home favorites. I still worry about them as far as margin. They play slow, and when they struggle to shoot like they did against Towson from 3-point range, they're going to be in tough to cover numbers like this. And when you look at Chattanooga, again, they were a little bit banged up. I'd like to see if a couple of these guys return. It's hard to get information, from a school like this as far as injuries. But USC could be really good, so I'm willing to give Chattanooga a little bit of the benefit of the doubt for the 77-51 loss. We'll see how this one plays out, but I am worried about I agree with the under for sure. Chattanooga's ability to score is concerning, and St. Mary's, we know, can play defense. There's no doubt, but we're now asking St. Mary's to win by 17 or more. They play slow, play in the half court. I think it's one of those situations here where I'm very much interested. I'm not going to make it official, I think, because of the injury concerns. But, boy, certainly from a numbers standpoint and even from a spot perspective, to me, you can make a case here for Chattanooga and the Mocs after the drubbing they took at the hands of St. Mary's. You know what? I am going to make it official, in fact, because, with the injury situation, I doubt I'm going to find anything out concrete from it's college basketball is the worst sport possible to find out good injury information. So again, just got to hope one or two of these key starters are back. If that's the case, I think they can do enough to keep this within 16. So plus 16.5, minus 110. We'll lock it in with Chattanooga.
Bobano on the mock plus 16.5 at minus
Plus,
1.
they've already been out on the West Coast, so they've been, the USC, they've now acclimated themselves enough with the Pacific time zone. I think they can compete here.
Let's roll on. 2 games left here on the board. By the way, the Skunt Bag play of the day is in Southern Indiana money line at plus 130 here. Let's roll. Idaho State Bengals 0-1 at the USC Trojans. Galen Center in Los Angeles, California. We just touched on the Trojans and that first game against UTC. We also have here Idaho State. Idaho State, their first game at Arizona State. Both teams were horrific. Idaho State shot 25.4 from the field and 14.3 from 3. 17.5 dogs. Imagine shooting 25.4 from the field and 14.3 and covering easily. I mean, that's because Arizona State shot so poorly as well. So Idaho State's first game, they cover against Arizona State and shoot horrifically. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have Idaho State 23-point dogs. They open at 23. They're back at 23. So no movement there. From a total standpoint, we have, sorry, I'll move quickly here. We have a 138.5 juice to the over. That's exactly where this opened. So we haven't really gotten off. Now it got up to minus 120 juice and it's come back, but still juice to the over. And when we get to the cash flow, we have 22% of the tickets, but 61% of the cash on USC. So that's interesting. Total wise, 97% of tickets, 96% of the cash on the over. Take it away, Bobano, our second to last game on the board. Bengals, Trojans in Los Angeles.
So I had Idaho State in their first game, wire to wire. They covered against Arizona State, but that was definitely way more about I wanted to fade the Sun Devils because of how bad they looked in the preseason. Duke puts over 100 on them. Bobby Hurley has that press conference about how Duke is where they are, and we've got an oh shit for us. It was absolutely hilarious to see that press conference about his state of his team. And I said, I want to fade him right away. And sure enough, they were life and death. You know what's amazing about that game is Idaho State couldn't make anything from long distance, from 3-point range, and they still were a wire-to-wire point spread cover against Arizona State. But I think that was more, for me, why I liked Idaho State, about how bad ASU looks to come into the year. This is a big step up. USC looked really good against Chattanooga in that first game. There's such an athleticism advantage, and let's be honest, I'm looking at some of these non-conference results for Idaho State last year. The one that stands out is when they were at Iowa State. They lose by 31 on the road to Iowa State. This kind of feels like USC could win this game and cover this number. Not betting the game, but I'm not on Idaho State. That was more about Arizona State being bad.
All right, let's roll into our next spot on the board. Our final spot of college basketball before Bobano is off with the Ice Guys. We got Cal Poly Mustangs 0-1 to start the year at the California Golden Bears Haas Pavilion in Berkeley. Cal Poly got their season off to, it was a tough start at the Dons in San Francisco. They were 20.5-point dogs, and they were in that game for its entirety. They played well. So Cal Poly's got to feel okay about that first game of the year, losing by 8 as big dogs. For Cal, they got their season started against Cal State Bakersfield. The Road Runners were 11.5-point dogs and lost by 13. So Cal covered despite Cal State Bakersfield shooting 56.3% from 3. A good sign for the Golden Bears. Let's get into the line history and then hand it over to our guy Bobano. We have this total at 160, slightly juiced to the over. This total's come up from 152. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And, to push it even further, there's a book that I'm looking at right now. Open this up at 147.5. So we've had an 11.5, well, more like a 12, because this is already at this book minus 130 to the over. So one of the biggest moves you will see in sports gambling. From a spread perspective here, we have this at 15. So Cal is 15. Now this is juiced to Cal Poly. So this opened up at 15. It's back at 15. So overall, we've had 7 cents of movement towards Cal Poly. And then when we get to the cash flow for our final spot on the board today, We have 96% of the tickets and 96% of the cash on the over. And on the point spread, we have 96% of tickets and 93% of cash on Cal Poly. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Great job today. This is your last spot on the board. Mustangs, Bears, and Berkeley.
Yeah, I'm one of the people that was in on the overfeeding frenzy in this game. I can't believe how low that is. People think this is the Mark Fox Cal teams. Well, with Madsen, they played fast last year, tempo-wise, and they're playing fast again this year. Their game against Bakersfield, who's not a fast-paced basketball team, still flew over the total, got in, I believe, into the, 159. But that total was 137.5. I was surprised that total was low. So they've been off the mark. Now, the question is, can you still bet it at the current number? That ends up being the question. You know what I also like in this game, Jimmy, is Cal Poly. I like them plus the points. In fact, I am on Cal Poly plus the points in this game. I was impressed with Cal Poly first game at San Francisco. Competitive, 21-point dog against a solid San Fran Dons team, 86-78. Cal is still a team that's going to push pace. Defensively, though, there's been some concerns that I had with Cal at times last year. Cal Poly might be able to exploit those. So I think this is definitely, for me, Cal Poly, plus 15, minus 110. I will take the over, believe it or not, even after this move. I still think it can get there. It's a huge adjustment. I don't even know if it's enough. These are very fast-paced teams. I think in Cal Poly's case, they're better offensively than defensively. Over 159, minus 130. I will lock that in as well, along with Cal Poly. And then just before I leave, 3 games I want to add to my card that we did not talk about. One is Robert Morris, Delaware. I like Delaware in a bounce-back spot here. -7, minus 112 at PointsBet. They're off a tough loss in their opener to a solid Bucknell team. Robert Morris got ambushed by West Virginia in their first game. They're on the road again now. Delaware in a bounce-back spot at home. I like the Blue Hens there. Delaware -7. Montana State, Wisconsin. I like the Montana State Bobcats. Wisconsin was not very good early in their game. Now, they did eventually pull away Wisconsin in their first game. But this Montana State team, was in the tournament last year out of the Big Sky Conference. They've got a lot of returning production back. I think Montana State's got the goods to hang in that game with Wisconsin, or at least stay within 17.5. So Montana State plus 17.5, minus 110 against Wisconsin. I'll add that as an official play. And then there was one more, and I'm just trying to remember now which one it was as far as the card. Oh, yeah. It's one of the plays that our guy mentioned in the chat there, the Skunt play, I believe it was. Southern Indiana, +3, minus 110 against Bucknell. I like this spot. Bucknell on the road again after a nice win against Delaware. And they get a Southern Indiana team that I think's improved this year. Play fast as well. You could see that game get over the total as well, but I like the side more, and I'll just stick to that. Southern Indiana +3, minus 110 against Bucknell.
You are locked and loaded, my friend. I will review all of your action. Great job, as always, in college basketball here. Off to the Ice Guys at 2 p.m. in 35 minutes. And we thank you for all the hard work that you put in. Don't forget, Monday, Hitting the Books alongside Connor Mack on the Hitting the Books YouTube channel, and the NBA OG show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday on Ski Profits YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your time, Bobano, my man. Love rocking with you. Please support Bobano on X as well, at Bobano Bets. Bobano, any last words for the Capper Sport?
Good luck, Jimmy. Always fun to be with you. Good luck tonight. Everyone in the chat, good luck. Cash some tickets on this Thursday night. We'll see you again soon.
There he is, Bobano, Ian Cameron in the house. All right, it is time to talk NBA. Just 3 games here on the card. And I am close to moving on this first game, but I wanted to talk it out with you guys. So let's get after it. Let's move over to NBA before we set up the first game. Get this all set up here for the market. And let's attack here. I've had a very small sample size in NBA to start the year, but I do feel very much like I can get us paid in full. Let's go. Minnesota Timberwolves, Chicago Bulls here. Timberwolves 4-3, 1-2 on the road. Bulls at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. These Bulls on the second half of back-to-back after falling 119-99 at Dallas last night for their 3rd straight loss. Zach LaVine missed his 2nd straight game with the right adductor strain. So we do want to see if some of these guys who are questionable are able to go now, because it is 1:30 p.m. and walkthroughs have taken place for a lot of these teams. So let's find out here right off the top if LaVine is in, and I kind of want him to be out. So let's see. Right now, the word on Zach LaVine is nothing. So we don't know at this point whether Zach LaVine will be out. So I'm going to have to wait on this spot because I do want the Bulls without Zach LaVine, and I only want the Bulls in the first quarter. Let's talk about the line history here in this one. We have the market moving towards the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're -9 right now. This opened up at 7. So we've gone from 7 to 8 to 9. I think that's telling us that LaVine is not in the lineup. From a total side of things here, we have a 227.5. It is juiced to the under at -109. But this opened up at 226. So we have climbed a 1.5. And we got, Jermaine says he's got LaVine at 18.5. Interesting. Then when we get to the cash flow here for this one, we have 55% of the tickets and 60% of the cash on Minnesota. And on the total, we have 84% of tickets and 83% cash on the over. Kong says Chicago's blowing it up. Everybody is available for a trade. Look, I like my read on the Chicago Bulls. And I need LaVine not on the floor for this first quarter bet. And I can hear exactly what you're saying. When I took the Bulls over the Milwaukee Bucks in the first quarter, I got the same notes from the cappers in the chat. So I'm comfortable with it. Justin McKelvey says the Bulls game's off of his book. Let me just see if it's here on mine at this point. It is with the 9. Let's talk about the two teams here for a little bit. These Minnesota Timberwolves are not playing very quickly. They're 22nd in pace, 98.21 possessions a game. They're shooting the ball very well, 47.8% from the field to start the year and 39.8% from 3. No, I love it, Kong. I want all the info, my man. Your money in the bank. Chicago is the fastest team pace of play in the NBA this year, which has caught some of us by surprise. 106.19 possessions a game. They aren't shooting the ball nearly as well as Minnesota, but no one expected them to. 44% from the field and 36.9% from 3. Wolves come in off their second win in 3 games. They beat the Hornets 114-93 at home on Monday. They shot 47.4% from 3. This is also the first of a back-to-back that they're not going to be locked in for. They face the Blazers at home tomorrow night. They're completely healthy squad, coming off shooting beautifully. I am very interested in the Bulls in the first quarter, coming back from the 119-99 loss at Dallas last night. So, second half of a back-to-back while Minnesota's on the first half of a back-to-back. LaVine missed a second straight game. Ayo replaced him. LaVine, a game time decision. This is their 3rd game in 4 nights, and they were losing from the jump. I mean, this team turned the ball over 23 times in that loss to Dallas. They shot 41.9 from 3. This was from the field, and 28.6 from 3. And nobody played more than Colby White's 29 minutes. This isn't a tired team. I expect the Timberwolves to overlook the Bulls early. I really do. This isn't a spot where I'm going to take the race to 20 for a big plus spot, but this is a spot where I want the Bulls first quarter. But I need to wait for LaVine to be announced out. And I imagine if he's announced in, what's it going to change the first quarter? I mean, this has been at 2.5 here for a while. The only difference was when this was an 8-point spread, the Bulls plus 2.5 was -115. And now that it's a 9-point spread, the Bulls 2.5 is -105. I really think a 3 could be available. Right now, obviously, there isn't a 3 available. But if I wanted to move that number here to 3, they're not offering it to me. Interesting. So that is the Bulls Timberwolves. And yes, I want the Bulls first quarter, but I need to wait for the LaVine news. Let's move on to game 2 here of the 3-game NBA slate. This one, 8 p.m. Eastern, with the Utah Jazz 1-6, 1-2 on the road at Milwaukee Bucks, 1-6, 0-2 at home. We're at Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have this total at 230.5. It is juiced to the under. This opened up at 229. It was juiced to the over. Now at 230.5, which is the high water mark. Then when we get to the spread in this one, we have Milwaukee -8.5 at -109. They opened up at 9, got to 9.5. The initial thought was that this team was, I mean, I know they've been horrific. 1-6, 6 straight losses. We'll go over all that. But the initial move was towards Milwaukee, and then now there's been a move back towards the Jazz at +8.5. Levine doubtful. Thank you, Textiles. Mally Mal says the Bulls are an auto fade. Yeah, I get it. To each their own. I cashed on them against the Milwaukee Bucks. But again, do what works for you. And if simplifying things to the point where you just fade a team every single night is your plan of action and you're making money off of it, then go forth. Utah paced 5th in the league at 102.29 possessions a game, 41.3% from the field and 30.3% from three. Milwaukee 8th in the league in pace, 101.5 possessions a game, 47.5 from the field and 35.4% from three. We did talk about the spread. We didn't talk about the cash flow in this one. We have 86% of tickets and 87% of cash on the over. And then on the spread, it's a 50-50 spot on tickets and just 52% of cash on the Jazz. So let's roll here. The Jazz coming off their first win of the season, 135-126 at the Bulls on Monday. Keontae George looked very good. 33 points, 8 of 18 from the field, 6 of 12 from three, 9 assists. He looked like the man. John Collins came off the bench, went for 28 and 13. Utah shot 53.9 from the field and 44.4% from three in the victory. I want to fade that. I want to fade that they're shooting the ball better than they have all year. This is a team that's shooting just 41.3 from the field and 30.3 from three. I want to fade it when it's an outlier offensive shooting performance. I would like to go up against it, but then you'd have to take the Milwaukee Bucks, and I can understand people not wanting them. Of course, Taylor Hendricks has already done the surgery for the right fractured fibula and the dislocated ankle, so he's long gone. Clarkson practiced on Wednesday, so he's considered questionable. So why don't we go over to Clarkson now? I think that's an important piece of this puzzle. So let's get over to Clarkson for here. Clarkson game time decision. Now we know he does come off the bench and probable. So Clarkson returning. I mean, I don't know if he's worth a point, but on the spread, but that is there. We have Markkanen as a game time decision, and he is probable. So Markkanen and Clarkson back in the lineup. For the Bucks, we know that Giannis is going to be questionable a lot. He's questionable here. He just missed his first game of the season with the adductor sprain on Monday. You probably want to know that he's in for sure. Though, if he was out, I would find the Bucks at this number a little bit more appealing, honestly. Chris Middleton is out still. Right now, we have Middleton ruled out for Thursday, and it's unclear when he'll make his season debut, but he is very close to returning. So there we go. Let's set this one up a little bit more and talk some X's and O's. We have Julius Randle over 20 points at -140 is the FanDuel play of the day for my dude. Pig Milk play of the day from Billy Friedrich is the Prairie View A&M team total under. Let's copy and paste that. Thank you for sharing that with us, Billy, my man. Robert Franklin on the under in this one. Let me move this over so I have this copied and pasted. But let's roll. Here we go. So we talked about the Jazz. Lauri Markkanen dealing with the lower back spasm. So he's missed 3 straight games. And, he's a big piece of the puzzle. 18 points, 7.3 rebounds a game. Helpful to have him back. Was a full participant on Wednesday. So Filipowski then will not be starting, obviously. And he'll be coming off the bench, replacing Markkanen. The Bucks coming off their 6th straight loss, 116-114 at Cleveland on Monday. Giannis missed the game. He also has the right patella tendonitis. Dame Dollar went for 36, and Bobby Portis, replacing Giannis in the starting lineup, went for 21 and 18. So they lost the home and home to the Cavs by a combined 3 points. That came after losing 4 straight by double digits. So they cleaned stuff up against a good basketball team. This is also the first of a back-to-back. I would be on Milwaukee in a bounce-back spot, honestly. And maybe I will if Giannis is out. Maybe. Not that I think the Bucks are better without Giannis. I just think that they're capable of stepping up at home, at a much shorter number. Saying all that, they know they're in New York tomorrow. They know they are. I did not see that, Billy. Portis got ganked. I don't like hearing that, but no, I didn't know that. But the problem here is the fact that the Bucks are in Madison Square Garden tomorrow night in a game that means a ton to them, especially after starting the year 1-6, and they haven't won at home. So I want to find out about Giannis. Is he wanting another night off so that he can be good to go at MSG? I think it's very, very crucial to get that information. I don't want Utah. I would like Utah. I would like to fade Utah at a better number with, important players coming back, and Clarkson and Markkanen, who've not been out just for one game. So Clarkson, again, he's been out with plantar fasciitis in his left foot. So, he's been out, for a week, and he is ahead of schedule coming back. But I'm not going to be moving here on the Jazz. This is a Bucks or no bet, and because of MSG tomorrow, I want to know about Giannis. I do think this is their first home victory of the season. The question is, what number are you going to get them? So we got to wait and see about that. Let's talk about the final spot on the board, 8 p.m. Eastern, with the Portland Trailblazers 3-5, 2-2 on the road at the San Antonio Spurs, 3-5, 2-1 at home. We're at Frost Bank Center in San Antonio, Texas. Let's get into the line history here. This is our final game on the board, and then we race. $50 Camel Racing right here on Pub Sports Radio. Jose will jump on screen. We haven't seen him yet today. It'll be great. And we will race camels for $50. We do have in an hour and 22 minutes our Cappers contest show. Don't forget, 24, 20-1 in range to make something happen here in the second half of the season. So here we have the Spurs -4 and -103. They opened up at -4.5. This did get down to 3.5, but there was some buyback here for the Spurs. Let's get into the total here for this one. Our final spot on the board, we have a 217.5 at a pick'em. This opened up at 217.5. It started climbing, got up to 218.5 before it dropped. Then it got back up to 18.5 again. At this point, we have no movement at all. So we have a half-point move towards the Blazers and no movement on the total. Let's get into the cash flow for this last spot on the board. We have 42% of the tickets and 51% of cash on Portland, 42 and 51. On the total, 83% of tickets and 81% cash on the over. Portland has the 19th fastest pace in the league, 99.38 possessions a game. Spurs are 5 back at 24th, 97.88 possessions a game. I mean, with Devin Vassell out, and he's very close to making his season debut. He's going to make it at some point during this homestand. For the Spurs, this is game 1 of a 5-game homestand. Trey Jones out with an ankle sprain too. So you have Vassell and Jones out. So obviously your pace of play is going to slow down. And Jeremy Shohan, has been out with the fractured thumb. So this is a bit of a beat up squad. The shooting is very close. Portland, they're both poor shooting basketball teams at this point. Portland, 43.1% from the field and 34.3% from three, while the Spurs are 44.9% from the field and 32.1% from three. Blazers snapped their 2-game losing streak with a 118-100 victory at the Pelicans on Monday night. They shot 54.8% from the field and 34.5% from three. Simons goes for 24, 8 and 19 and 13. They dominate the Pelicans in the fourth quarter, taking them out 39-18. This is the first of a back-to-back. So, the Blazers beat up on a shorthanded Pelican squad, and now they have their first of a back-to-back. They play at Minnesota tomorrow night. Thibault has been ruled out, so we know he's not back. And Shaedon Sharpe's season debut is coming soon. He's listed as questionable tonight. Not that it would matter that much, but I'd be curious to see if Shaedon Sharpe is playing tonight. And he's still listed as questionable. So we're going to wait on that. And then I do not think that Vassell opens up this 5-game homestand here at So we're still waiting on that. And he's a big piece of the puzzle. They need him back here. Okay, so let's roll into some more X's and O's here for the Spurs on the second half of a back-to-back. They lose 127-100 at Houston last night. Wemby looked terrible. He was tied for a game worst, -18. Scored 15 points in 25 minutes. He looked bad. So, game 1 of a 5-game homestand, a real nice bounce-back opportunity for Portland, who's going to be wary of minute restrictions as they play at Minnesota tomorrow night, which I also think holds Minnesota back from necessarily, destroying the Bulls, even though that's what everybody in the chat believes. So Billy Friedrich liking the full game under in this one. I'm still trying to stay away from totals. I try to do that until there's enough sample size of statistic analysis for us. I'm focusing mostly on pace, but I will take team total unders. This total hasn't moved at all. It hasn't moved despite 83% of tickets and 81% cash on the over. And we know that Portland's going to be going deeper into their bench here. So I can understand the full game under. I completely get it. These teams aren't shooting well, aren't playing well. But I kind of want the Spurs on the bounce back spot. I really do. My guy Rez Mob in the house. What up, Rez? I really do. I want them on the bounce back spot. Now I know Pop, dealing with the health issues is not there, which does hurt. Do you want a team with Castle, Champagny, and Barnes in the 2-3-4 and Chris Paul the one? I guess the answer is no. I guess the answer is just no. I mean, but if I had a free bet, I would probably be on the Spurs -4. But the answer is no. That's true. So when it comes down to this, I'm going to be interested in the Milwaukee Bucks when everybody knows for certain that Markkanen's in the lineup and Clarkson's back, and if Antetokounmpo's out. That's what I want there. I'm not sure if we get that. But I am going to sit back and wait here, expecting Levine to be out of the Bulls lineup and moving on the Bulls first quarter against a Minnesota team that I think will take them lightly. So it looks like Bulls first quarter will be my only action here. Although I do plan on figuring out what the hell's going on with the roster for the Milwaukee Bucks, whether Giannis will be in or not. So that is a 3-game breakdown, a short breakdown, only 3 games in NBA. Let's review all action here on the show, and let's get ready to race camels. So let's bring back my co-host here on Betting with the Bag, our producer, the star of all baseball programming here on Pub Sports Radio, coming to us from San Antonio, where we are almost at our card show, our big card show, the Alamo Card Show. Almost all the tables are taken. I believe less than 10% of the tables are available, but there's still a few tables available, a very small number available. So if anybody is still looking to possibly get a table at the Alamo Card Show, you can get one. Hit that email at the bottom of the screen, but over 90% full with tables, and we'll have a table there, and Jose will be shooting live at the Alamo Card Show. So without further talking, let's bring on the producer of our show here. Please welcome from San Antonio, Texas, home of the Southtown 101, Jose Snips Bouquet. Jose, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, typing up names into a list, but doing well, can't complain.
Well, I will review all action here, so I'll give you time to type it in. Stacks play today, number 1, Florida Gators -22.5. Stacks play of the day, Deontay Johnson over 24.5 yards, a +120. Free bands play of the day, Bengals +0.5 first quarter. 9 Legacy on the Hurricanes -1.5. Kings money line, so we're going heads up there. And then the Bulls on the spread for 9 Legacy. I am interested. Maybe I get to the full game. I really think that Minnesota, with the first half of a back-to-back, is lethargic a little in this one. That's why my focus was on the first quarter, but maybe it shouldn't be. I'll figure that out. And he's on Coastal Carolina as well. Kong Smash play of the week, Trajan Gore and Prates KO. Jim Dewigger on the over in App State, Coastal Carolina. The Blue Balls play today, Gesicki over 50.5 yards. And the Clark Edge play today in basketball, SMU -30.5. NHL is going to be a heavy, heavy investment for me today. And we'll obviously be all going on while we have our NFL live stream. Bruins -1 for me. Bobano on the Bruins first period over 1.5 and the full game over 5.5. That's not the Bruins first period team total. Sorry. That's the first period over 1.5 and the full game over 5.5. Dan Bonner is a light sprinkle on the Sens to win in a shutout. I'm on the Sens -1 at +114. Bobano stayed off that one. I'm going to be on the Preds first period. I'm going to bet that as soon as this show's over. I think they're champing right now. And Florida coming back from Finland, feeling good about themselves. Bobano on the over 6 at -115. My dudes, FanDuel play today. Julius Randle over 20 at -140. I don't know if I get to the window on Montreal first period +0.5 anymore. I'm a little uncomfortable with it. I will be on the under 6 in Rangers Sabres. Bobano on the Sabres at +175 and the draw at +390. Then we have the under 6.5 in Penn's Carolina Hurricanes. That's the Slatsy look that I will be rolling with, and I agree with. Bobano on the Lightning team total over 3.5 -108. I'm off of that one. I'm on Utah -104. Bobano's on the first period over 1.5 and the full game over 5.5. Blackhawk Stars, we stayed off. And then Bobano has quadrupled up on the Jets Avalanche game. I'm just on the Jets -1. I got that -1 at +114. I think I don't have it here on my worksheet for some reason, but Bobano's on the Jets money line -135. Jets team total over 3.5 +102. First period over 1.5 -138, and the full game over 6.5 -106. We have DC Capper and others on the Kings, 9 Legacy on the Kings. Bobano and I are both on the Canucks. Now, I haven't bet the Canucks yet. I did want to talk that one out. And then Bobano on the Wild, team total over 3.5. I'm going to be on the Wild on the puck line. In tonight's football game, I'm on the under 53.5, and I really like it. More and more I sit with it, the more and more I like it. Again, it's just a 1-unit play. That total is down to 52.5. I like it so much. I like it better than the side. It took me a while to get there, and now I'm there, and I'm going full steam ahead. In saying that, it's just a 1-unit bet. Also on the Bengals +6.5. Here, Bobano took the over 52 at -120 in this one, and he bought the Bengals +7 at -136 for record-keeping purposes, but he is a 6.5 with low vig. Then when we get into college football, I'm off. I thought I would have action, but I'm off. Bobano on East Carolina, team total over 31.5 and the over 58. It sucks that so much of my attention right now is in NFL that I'm just not focusing on college football enough, but it is what it is. For college basketball, I'm going to be on Stony Brook. Just got to figure out exactly how I'm going to handle it. I'm also going to be on UAB, and that could be my only action today, which I'm surprised at. For Bobano, now I'm going to look at those added spots for Bobano as well. Bobano is not on that first game, Stony Brook, Central Michigan. He's not on Charleston, Southern North Florida, but he's on UAB -13.5 and the over 152 in Southern Miss UAB. He's on Detroit +25. He's on the over 151 in Jacksonville, Florida. He's on Florida -23.5. He's on the over 155 at -120. And I guess I stay off of this Jacksonville State Air Force game. Bobano on Jacksonville State. Do I want to go up against Bobano in the spot on the first day of cap in college basketball in the season? I'm not entirely sure if I do. I think he had the real legitimate reason to be on Jacksonville State, but it just feels like Air Force got, slapped in the face, and that they should come back, an academy like this with character should come back and play a great basketball game. I think they will. Or great, maybe going a little far, but better. I don't know if I get there. Bobano on Chattanooga +16.5 -110. He stayed off of Idaho State USC. He's on Cal Poly +15 in the over 159. His additions were Delaware -7 -112, Montana State +17.5 -110, and Southern Indiana at +3 -110. And that is also the play of the day. Southern Indiana money line from Skunt Bag, our guy, Skuntopoulos. Skuntalicious play of the day is Southern Indiana money line. That is our action for today, Jose, my friend. Are we ready to race camels?
Yes, we are ready. I just have to leave and come back, so I will be back in just a second.
Okay, we're going to have him come back in just a second. Let's talk about the spot in NFL that's gone so heavy against me. You want the market to go with you. You want to feel like you're on the edge of... D-Rock, just hit the link on top. That link available for you, D-Rock. Just put in your state and your province, and you will get the offers from the different legal books that we are supporting. So, take a look at that. And we, for transparency, you guys need to know that we don't get a cent off anybody's losses. I know that's how some companies survive. Not us, not 1 cent. We want you to destroy these books. So... hit that link there, my friend. So it is time to race camels. $50 on the line. Jose, how many gold members do we have?
We have 84 gold members, and we have 83 racers here as well. So shout out to you. And D-Rock, I'm going to re-put the link in here as well, so you can put it in there. No, I have the bet MGM one up there right now.
Oh, okay.
Specifically. So I'll give you the one to all of them right now here as well. But, 84 members, 83 racers with our mystery member there as well. And this is going to be a very interesting race. I cannot wait to see it here. So, and of course, Sport of Kings, camel racing. I will say, Jimmy, the turkeys are in the canals as well. The turkeys are in the canals here as well. So we might have to play.
We can race turkeys?
We definitely can. We definitely can.
Tomorrow, our
And
first turkey race of the season.
we might have to bring back our old friend Turkey Terrorist as well. That is a great bit.
I don't know about that, man.
oh,
But those were interesting days. Those were interesting days.
All right, let's race the sport of kings, and they're feeling especially laggy today, guys. So we're starting off slow. Crystal Craig sticks her long neck in the lead right now, followed by Kelly McInnes. Chosen One and the Sweaty Butcher's long neck is in the lead there as well. Tori Coker in the mix, the Nuke Worker in here, and his long gizzard as well. Kent Davies up front right now, Jimmy.
The Nuke Worker, a multiple champion who always puts his money back in the pool. What a class act. Now, you don't have to do that. This is for you guys. Your gold members can do whatever you please with this cash. It is look at Jimmy the Oh, God, why did I say something? Nasty Nate. Nate trying to come home with it. Something he's not being able to do, but he's right there. Here comes the Chosen One, and here comes Coin. Coin is flying. That is one fast camel going right to the wire. Look at Coin. Oh, no, Coin. No. Here comes Chosen One, and here comes Tabby Cab. Here comes everybody. And Ricky Bobby and Rude Boy, our champion. And he's a gold member. Look at that. Rude Boy getting paid. Dabby Cab in second. Justin McKelvey in third. What a race that was. Rude Boy, our champion for Thursday, November 7th. Let me write that right here at the top of the card. Rude Boy, our champion for $50. We had our first four-time champion, Juan Ruiz, our first four-time champion last week. Picked up $100. Shout out to our guy Juan. And shout out to Rude Boy. $50, Richard. Thank you so much to all of our gold members. Thank you. Jose, my friend, next up for us is the Cappers contest in 1 hour and 7 minutes.
Yep, it's going to be a fun one.
Nice performance by the squad. Okay, I think that we need, and I'd like to talk about this quickly now. I think it's important that you talk to us about exactly what's happening in the ballot. Because that's something that I was doing, and it pushed people to make certain moves when they were on the fence. I think we need to know exactly what picks are going to go in. Like if we're at 72% right now, this is going to make our card. I think that's crucial information. What do you think about that?
Sure. If it led us to a 4-1 week last week, we might as well do it again.
Yes.
No issues there with me.
Okay, beautiful. I think that's important as well. So I would like to
Jimmy, they look great, by the way. The turkeys are in the canals. They look great.
Don't show anybody. Let's keep it quiet. I don't want them to know how glorious it is until next week. So let's.
Oh my Lord, they look fantastic. Wow.
Here you guys go. I just want to touch on where we stand right now. So there's two teams tied for first in the Circus Sports Millions, and they're 8 points ahead of us, which we can get to. The top 100 is what gets paid right now. To get in the top 100, they're 4.5 points ahead of us. Just 4.5 points to get paid. We can do this. We can really do this. So right now,
that is not bad at all.
No, we can do this. Pub Sports Radio right now is tied for 1,187th.
You know, Jimmy, Nuke Worker's right. Ever since Judge Slaughter came in, been on fire.
Also, ever since Judge Slaughter demanded that we have a minimum 20 votes, helped as well. So we are tied for 1,187th. We are 4.5 points out of getting paid. This is exciting. This is very, very, very exciting. So join us here in 1 hour and 5 minutes. That is our show for today. We have a Monster Friday program. Absolute Monster Friday program. Gerald Jones says we live. You're damn right we live. And Preston says the third quarter starts today. So this is the best record we've had at halftime. Right, Jose? In our 3 years of doing it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but it definitely fucking feels like it.
I'm excited. 24, 20, and 1. We are in range. And another thing that's worked surprisingly, because we're 8-2 our last 2 weeks, is favorites. which is something that hasn't succeeded over our history here. So
Yeah, and it's been like a historic run for favorites this year, it feels like, right?
I don't have those numbers. Res Mob, don't worry. We will feed your camel. Your camel will be just fine. That is our show for today. Thank you guys for rolling with us. Thank you to all of the gold members for being a part of our races and supporting the channel. And if you guys want to support the channel, please hit that link, that Vault Sports HQ link. That is a link to all of the books. You just put in your state or your province and click on it. And if you do open an account, it does help the channel. So thank you for that. A shout out to all you guys. Swiggy, Res Mob. Speaking of Preston Ekdahl, go to our YouTube channel right now and you will get a great fight breakdown. There's 2 fights that they're focusing on here in the Talking Hands show. 2 fights. We have, let me get it right here. We have Rodriguez and Guevara and Ennis versus Chikadzian. So those are the 2 fights. They're focusing on 2 boxing fights, so boxing matches. So please support Talking Hands. That's up on our YouTube channel right now. Oh, wow. Last year we were 25-18-2. And then what the hell happened? Wow, Preston.
We got hit by a fucking truck, apparently.
Wow. That must have been so exciting. Preston, amazing you can pull that information. Do you have our final record last year? Would love to know that. Oh, he said we fumbled the last 4 weeks badly. Wow, yeah, I'm starting to remember that vaguely. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Big Mouth, Rob, Shrom, Polium, Kongs, Clips, Res Mob, Justin McKelvey, Jim Dewigger, Nasty Nate. Says looks like it's going to be Camel Thanksgiving.
I learned recently that turkeys can fly. I did not know that.
You know what? We'll have to bring back Turkey or Terrorist. We'll have to bring back.
It was a great stand-up bit as well for Pope was one.
Some people liked it. Some people were horrified by it. It certainly wasn't loved unconditionally by everybody. Thanksgiving is still 21 days away. So don't forget, you guys should be thankful to have a Canadian rocking with you guys because it means that I can host all 3 games and we go all day, all night live together on Thanksgiving Thursday. No family issues here for me. All day, all night action for us.
Yeah, my favorite people are Canadians.
Sorry?
I said all my favorite people are Canadians, so I agree.
Wow. I like to hear that. D-Rock, Dougie Wise, Jim Dewigger, Billy Friedrich, Res Mob. Thank you guys. Old E in the house. What a great supporter Old E is of our channel. Means so much to us. Robert Franklin. Love you, man. My dude, Jared TG, Mally Mal, Textiles. Am I lying? All you guys, thank you for all of your hustle, man. Wager Detective, Super True Story. Thank you guys. Benjamin Mills, Irish King. Thank you guys. That is our show for today. I'm not sure, Kong. I'm not sure. That would be fun. We did it on the Friday of Thanksgiving. I heard from people that wasn't the best date because they have family issues and family things they need to do. So why don't we touch on that as we go through something that we could put together. Jose, it was great to see you, my man. In 1 hour, we rock together. Please support the Cappers Contest show 24-20-2. I can't believe we were 25-18-2 last year. Now, this has been a tougher season.
Well, I'll tell you, we got up to 31-22-2 at one point, apparently, as well.
Oh my God, we were 31-22-2. Now I remember that. We were like in the top 500. Wow. And then we fell apart. Well, it's okay. 24-20-1, it puts us in shape here for a big second half. Jose, my friend, can you please bless our action and lead us into the future?
Yeah, let's do it. I need this Cappers Contest show as well because I had a 2 and 3 week last week as well. So let's get after it here. We appreciate everyone watching these programs. As always, stick around. Members only for the Cappers Contest show. And until then, leche, Los bookmakers. Let's go.